live! Everyone shout hello, hello, hello.
Hello, everybody!
Yes, you can be heard. Question is, can I be heard? Yes, we can all be heard. So welcome to the Superkick Mania Pro Wrestling Podcast. My name is David Pistansky, and once again I am joined by Dave Green and Sam George. How are you doing, guys?
Well, thank you. Enjoyed our little show we did a little while ago on the Extreme Improv, so it was a good laugh.
Yes, and you look like you mean that, by the way, that you just leant on one hand. It was a good laugh.
I'm very relaxed.
Yes. Dave ended up as the champion after Hard-Fought's final battle, but he was able to throw his opponent over the top rope to the outside, and there was no over-the-top rope disqualification. Yes, indeed. So, on today's show, it's going to be an interesting one where you guys can join in with us if you want, and this is our first time doing a watch-along. Dave, as it was your idea, do you want to introduce which show we are going to be watching along with?
Yeah, so if you've just joined us and you want to just quickly fire up your network or whatever other means you've got to watching WCW PPV, we are watching a WCW World Championship Wrestling PPV from 1991. All the way back there, we're going to go for the inaugural SuperBrawl. I chose this because it's, I was saying to the guys off there that this was, I think, a good example of WCW who were, at the time, going through quite a few changes and were going from the sort of, they were trying to straddle the balance of the sort of crazy characters and wackiness of professional wrestling and trying to keep up with the WWF, while also trying to still do their style of real wrestling, as it were.
Yes, absolutely. Sam, you've never seen this show before, have you?
No, I've never seen it before. I was kind of vaguely getting interested in wrestling around the time that there was a bit of a rivalry between WCW and WWF as it was back then. But I think I really came into it after it all ended. So a lot of this is new to me.
Okay, so...
It's interesting, there'll be some faces you won't recognise, there'll be some names you won't recognise when they're announced, but there'll be a couple of times where you might have a few familiar faces pop up that you're not expecting, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, already we've got comments coming through on Facebook. The one most worth pointing out is Keely, who often watches Extreme Improv Extreme. She says, "Oh no, it's you three." So Keely, I don't know how much of a pro wrestling fan you are, but if you know anyone that is a pro wrestling fan, feel free to give them a shout out to check this shizness out.
So what a pleasant way to start the show.
Oh no, yeah.
That's right, but at some point we've all been called a favourite at some point now. It's like, oh no, you three again.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay. So, is there anything we need to... Oh, hang on. So we're getting an echo somewhere. I'm just getting a report that there is an echo. So let's just check where this echo could be coming from. Where is the echo coming from?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'll be home from me, I think.
Is it?
I think so. Usually be fine. I think I just heard myself laugh and laughing quite a lot more than I actually was.
Okay, so we're just going to quickly figure this out. I don't know what the explanation is there for the echo, guys.
Go with it.
Yeah, we're going to go with it. So today we're going to be doing a watch-along of WCW SuperBrawl 1 from 1991. Is there anything else we need to do to delay for the people out there, or shall we go straight into it?
I'll go straight into it. So if you've got your stuff set up and on, obviously on the first start of the show, it's a 2 hour 40-minute show, so we won't be here for the duration. But it won't feel like that. So should we give a countdown and everyone press play at the same time?
Yep. So, just before we do this, anyone who is out there about to join in with us, make sure you've got the network open and you've loaded up SuperBrawl 1. If you click it to play, just in case there should be any adverts or warning screens come up to begin with, you could put it so you press play, pause it, and then rewind back to 0. And Dave, if you want to give us the countdown, and then we will all click play together.
Do it in true Royal Rumble style and go on the...
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, 10,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so I'm watching it new with closed captions on, so at the moment I just have music in brackets. dying up.
Okay, I do have a headphone in. I'm definitely going to be a second different from you because as I was going, 3, 2, 1, I accidentally pressed it a second early.
Slow down a second and like, oh no, yes, of course,
Yeah.
you are joining in with me, but a little bit anyway, there's the amazing graphics. There we are, SuperBrawl coming bashing through those wonderful early 90s graphics.
I like it. I wish I could get graphics like that for Extreme. Instead,
So
you got
we are
glitchy.
coming from the Bayfront Arena in St. Petersburg, Florida, in 1991. It's a wrestling-related date. Can you guess what date it is?
A wrestling-related date.
Yeah, it's a date when you say it, you know if someone's a wrestling fan and they react a certain way.
Gosh, I don't know. What are the important WrestleMania dates?
It's not a WrestleMania date or anything like that. Just it's
No, not
it's
WrestleMania. Sorry, wrestling related.
It's not a date that when you hear it said.
May 19th.
May 19th.
Yes. Good old Kane, the Big Red Machine. His movie was coming out on May 19th, and they put into a storyline that he had an issue with that date. And I don't think they ever gave a satisfactory reason why.
No. It's just that I think it was the day that his parents got killed. Or something like that. I think
Yeah.
Of the whole burning at the funeral home and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, can I just ask, did anyone else just get a glitch?
After See No Evil got released.
Did anyone else just like get a glitch, like this had been recorded off of a videotape? Like a...
Let's see.
Oh my goodness. And is she in front of a...
Let's have a look. So we've got... This lady is singing the Star Spangled Banner, I believe.
And she's definitely in front of a green screen.
Yeah, she is. Well, maybe... Actually not.
Maybe not. I think she was in front of a green screen because both the backdrop and her were in perfect focus. But she looked really...
Yeah, it didn't look that way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's just like the old VHS stuff being updated to streaming quality, I guess. But there we are. We've got Jim Ross and Dusty Rhodes on commentary. The American Dream Daddy.
Yeah. If you will, shall we just all do this podcast as if we are the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, baby?
We got 12 matches, Daddy, all been booked by me. Oh, yeah. Dusty's on the book for this show as well. So the Dusty book.
Right, okay.
And WCW at the moment is under the leadership of a certain Jim Herd.
Yes,
And,
the infamous.
He's a very intriguing fellow because he put a lot of people. It was his sort of like decision to try and go for the cartoony sort of vibe that we'll get from some of this stuff today. There's 4 Horsemen fans in the crowd there doing the suits and the sunglasses and all that stuff. That's very funny. But yes, Jim Herd. He was a guy that wanted to change Ric Flair's gimmick. He wanted to change Ric Flair and call it
Spartacus. Wanted him to be like a Roman.
Yeah. Why would you change Ric Flair, who's so established in the entirety of the 80s?
God knows.
It's like, oh no, we're not going to call you that. I want to call you Spartacus.
Well,
Here we go.
you were
The
saying
first
last
match
week
is
that they changed Ricky Steamboat to simply the Dragon in WWE, like around the same time.
No real understanding of that one, but we are going for the first match. Let's have a quick look.
Young Pistols
Young
versus...
Pistols against the Fabulous Freebirds.
Okay, are you familiar with any of
According to
these, Sam?
Wikipedia, there was a dark match.
Okay.
There was the Mighty Thor defeated El Cubano, whoever they are.
Right.
No interest in
I
that
can't
one,
think
but,
who the Mighty Thor would have been. Oh my God, it's Diamond Dallas Page.
The Fabulous Freebirds. So Jimmy Jack
Bang.
in the pin, Michael Hayes behind him, and behind him is the DDP.
Before he was actually a wrestler.
Yep, he was a manager. Always said it was a bad choice of him being a manager because he was 6'5" and often bigger than the guys he was managing.
Yeah.
And that is.
Look, if you walk down to the ring.
I don't know who the girl is, but I know that other guy is Oliver Humperdinck.
Oh yes, you're right. So I don't know, who would have the girl been? Who was the Diamond Doll? That comes back to my mind. But
I think that is the Diamond Doll. I don't know
Yeah.
who that would be. Or was it the Diamond Doll Kimberly? But this is obviously-
yeah, it
this-
may
this
have been.
isn't Kimberly.
Yeah, I think
This
you're
isn't
right.
Kimberly, but yeah, this is for the WCW United States Tag Team Championship.
I always liked the US Tag Team Championship back in the day.
I think that they've got so many tag teams, they need a secondary division for the tag teams as well. It's pretty cool. So this is I think a tournament final because the Steiners were the US Tag Champions, but they won the World Tag Titles, and so they vacated the US tags. So here comes Steve and Tracy, Young Pistols. Steve Armstrong the Armstrong clan.
Tracy Smothers.
And Tracy Smothers.
So, do you know what? Like, the thing is, if Jericho came down the aisle wearing that, you'd accept it nowadays.
They are quite the coats. Sorry, Sam.
I like this era where both teams have come out and they're both really pumped for it. You know, there's no sort of gimmicks coming over the top, but it's kind of, you know, they're in character and they have to be like all, you know, downplaying everything. These two, all four of them, just come out. Yeah, let's go for it.
Well, see, with the Fabulous Freebirds, it would be their thing, their dance. It was with them, I believe, that they popularised having entrance themes. So there was no entrance themes until Bad Street USA. Not that I didn't listen. I don't. Yeah, right. But Tracy Smothers. Did you say Steve Armstrong?
This is Steve Armstrong.
Oh my god, they were like this is like the ultimate ham and egger tag team back in the day. Like Tracy Smothers gone on, had never a good career, but he's had moments of more prominence. But it's just like this whole, like, yeah, come on, we can do it. Just absolute ham and egger way of going on.
Well, he wrestled in WWF during the sort of like mid-90s. I can't remember his name now, but it was sort of like that sort of era when they had like jobber guys, but they had gimmicks.
So yeah, I'm trying to remember who he was. He wasn't.
It wasn't memorable.
He wasn't the Goon, was he? Who was the Goon?
WCW.
Yeah, and then
part of the full-blooded Italians.
Yeah.
But it's still sort of going wrestling today. He's sort of a bit of a controversial figure, but he's had his moments of worrying and things like that. But apparently he's like a really popular guy to have on shows and such like. But this is
Oh, look at that! Look at that! Nice. The lamest.
Nice. Very nice. Steve Armstrong. So I say he's one of the Armstrong brothers. So he's obviously got Brian Armstrong, Road Dogg, and Brad Armstrong.
See, they were always like the wrestling analogue of the Baldwin brothers from Hollywood, where there was like one talented one and then just so many others.
Yeah, one star maybe.
Yeah. And I always, to me, Brad Armstrong was always the star. And then when it was like, oh, what? So the roadie is his brother. But now, obviously, as time has told us, that Road Dogg is... So that's Road Dogg Jesse James' brother, Sam.
Yeah.
What, the guy who's on the floor now?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Armstrong, Brad Armstrong, they're all the same guys. But it's a very... the crowd are very quite crazy for some of the stuff that they're doing. I think they're doing the classic sort of stuff of the guys on the outside jumping over. Who's this that's jumped in the ring?
I don't know.
With the Young Pistols, whoever he is.
Is that another Armstrong?
I'm not sure. Is this going to become a six?
I don't know who this is actually. It's another Armstrong. This might be Scott Armstrong.
What? Who's now a referee?
It might be, yes, actually, yes, it would be. If it is Scott Armstrong, then it would be the guy who's the referee now, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, he's been sent to the back. And now Big Daddy Vink's been sent to the back as well.
See you later, Dinky boy.
Dink, sorry, not Big Daddy Vink. Dink even. The subtitles just come up saying, he's giving them the booth.
I should put on
the subtitles. Booth, Daddy. Going to 1-2 now. We're all even up apart from the fact that DDP is also a ringside, I'm pretty sure.
Is DDP commentating? He looked like he had a microphone at the beginning.
Oh, is he?
I don't know, I just saw the microphone, I haven't got the sound on either, so I wondered if
yeah, I think it was like the hype man for the Freebirds, that's what he might have been doing at the beginning at least. Oh, maybe everyone's been sent away from ringside, so it's just 2-on-2 now. That's a nice little fake out for him. Oh.
Having a tag team with a name like the Young Pistols, it's got a limited lifespan to it. Like the Young Bucks, they're now reaching the stage of their career where
they're fully established.
They're the Bucks, they're the Jacksons, you know. But yeah, exactly. Calling something the Young something or other, like even Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah.
You know, they don't think of these names.
Michael Hayes,
the Freebirds, you know, they had to change their name when they lost their wings.
What?
No, okay, fair enough.
Okay,
I lost making it halfway through the show.
Sam, to be honest, I know you were going for a joke there, I just didn't quite understand it. So how did they lose their wings?
Because they're birds.
Yeah, but why do birds lose their wings?
They don't, but they had to change their name when they lost their wings.
Okay. Oh, that's very good.
Oh, I've got another one.
Go
They
on
had to
then.
change their name when they both got sent to prison. They were no longer free birds, they were locked up birds.
No jailbirds.
Oh, that would have made more sense.
Ah, the fabulous
It's live
jailbird.
stuff.
I think I'm Tracy Smothers, he's in now.
So obviously Michael P.S. Hayes is still within the WWE, with a lot of like...
Doc Hendricks.
Yeah, Doc Hendricks. I couldn't believe when they brought him in as Doc Hendricks in the mid-90s.
I didn't know it was him at all. I wasn't
Well,
massive,
they cut his hair, I believe. That he was wearing like the
Yeah.
cowboy jacket, not jacket, like shirts and stuff.
Yeah, it was wearing horrendous clothes. Yeah.
So look at this, high-flying action, high-flying there. So, you know,
On the top rope.
Lucha Brothers, eat your heart out.
This is the over the top rope stuff now. Oh, hello.
Ooh, that's a painful bump to take there.
There's,
Metal rail straight to the middle of the chest.
yeah. This is 1991. That's quite,
Yeah.
quite bold of them to be doing that. But the Freebirds have been around for ages. Do you remember the other incarnation of the Freebirds, which was Terry Bam Bam Gordy,
Yeah.
which was the big guy. I forget the other fella, his name. But this is like the second incarnation of the Freebirds with
Oh,
Jimmy Garvin. Jesus Christ, that was a hell of a...
oh, that could very easily have gone wrong.
I think that's why Tracy Smothers is sort of so well liked, because he was willing to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Again, 1991, he's pretty ahead of his time. Oh, big left hand.
Tracy
That was,
Smothers
Actually,
always came
3
across
years
to me...
before I was born.
When were you born, Sam?
94.
Wow. Tracy Smothers always came across to me like he didn't really have much personality.
I don't know, that sort of awkward personality.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Doing the dancing stuff with the FBI. It's hilarious. I don't know.
The only one I remember in the FBI is Nunzio.
Nunzio, Little Guido.
Yeah.
Big, yeah, I don't know, what, like WWE, they could have brought in... okay, so when they did ECW One Night Stand, did we have more of the FBI there? Did we have Big Sal, or did we have Tracy Smothers
I
there?
think for that one night, they had like, Guido was in there, they had,
Tony Mamaluke?
he was there the next year, I think. I can't remember. He was definitely in the next year, because he was in a tag match, and he'd been signed this time as well, so he was in there for a very short time.
Yeah, that's such an old school move we just saw there, where someone's got the headlock and then the opponent's just like, 1, 2. It's like, well, don't just stand there and let a guy elbow you. You've got them, punch them or something.
I know.
Well, you could so easily take that into a running bulldog.
I haven't guessed how old Michael Hayes is at this point, because he's like, he's always a guy that's always looks older than he actually was.
Okay, so I'm going to take that
1991.
to mean that he's younger. So I'm going to guess that he's 56.
At the moment, he's 61 now. So this is 1991, born in 1959. So he'd been like just early 30s here.
Yeah.
And it's not that long from this point that he goes to WWF and becomes Doc Hendricks. So it's maybe
But he
about
seems so...
2
He
years
did
later,
look
maybe?
very different.
2 years later, but yeah, remember the time where he was the manager of the Hardy Boys, and he's always
Dressed the same.
Dressed the same. Apparently, his thing was that he thought that the Hardys were going to be the next incarnation of the Freebirds, and he was constantly trying to get them to go out to bars and live the high life like he had been doing during this time. And the Hardys
Well, they
just
got
like,
there
you
in
know.
the end. They got there in the end.
Oh yeah, eventually he got there. Yeah, but
Look at him go, he's clearing house.
yes.
Bang! Head to head.
Double noggin knocker, as Grandma Sue used to call it.
Look at this.
Both to the top right.
Double drop kick or double crossbody?
Oh, neither. Double
Oh,
drop
attempted the
attempt.
drop kick.
Both missed.
I think I'm slight hair bit ahead of you guys. I'm going to just quickly just pause and then unpause it.
We're down the ring now.
It did not pay off, as closed caption just says.
I tried to put the closed caption on, it didn't work.
Yeah, my closed caption's not working.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It says English, but
Oh no, yeah, press English. It'll come up as English.
thanks for that,
There's a lot
Dave.
more English.
Okay, what does autoplay mean?
Oh!
Double
There's
crossline over the top
I guess it's all about who plays whatever's next. So.
Oh, now he's coming up.
What's it? It's from 1991, is it? Jesus. Oof.
Bang!
Yeah.
No pistols are pretty damn good at this point.
Check out that cameraman on the side who's just in like these shorts.
There's a little bit of difference in the production values. I think they never let that be seen. Oh, hello. Oh, a bit of Imperium there.
I was just going to say that, yeah. Oh, you never see that move anymore.
No.
Oh.
And he still held the ropes.
Garmin didn't do it very well.
No.
But I'm going to go for it again.
Oh, what are we going?
So I think my place is a legal man. There might be some sort of issue here, but here's another one. Drop kick. Oh no, ref gone down. Ref bump.
Oh, look, instantly.
Hello.
Who's this
He's a
big?
feathered creature.
Oh!
He's a free bird.
It is a free bird. This I believe was his name. Oh hello, off the second rope. DDT.
Is he a luchador or something?
He is Fantasia, I believe he's called at this point. And it goes on to become Bad Street. It's named Bad Street.
I love these
Fantasia.
just feathers in the ring.
There we go, 1, 2, and it's over.
Oh, it's all over.
DDT was like the Freebirds move.
They are so lucky that the referee happened to get knocked down at that precise moment when the Young Pistols were doing a finisher. Otherwise,
the feathers that Fantasia has left
everywhere, the evidence.
So Fantasia is Bad Street. He's actually another Armstrong. We've got three of the 4 Armstrongs in this match. So we've had Steve in the match. We've had Scott China to test Steve off the interference, and that was Brad Armstrong in the mask.
Oh.
So we've had a lot of Armstrong into play in this one. The replay now.
It's very lucky that Fantasia was primed and ready to go as the referee went round as well. There was a lot of things that went in their favour.
Yeah.
Well, it's the way with these things, isn't it? I think he does it to both of them rather just like, he's done the full attack, full on attack, done non-stop, and then the Freebirds just pick up the pieces. So the new US Tag Champions, what do you think of that one?
Oh, it's definitely interesting. I've never seen the Freebirds before either. The only thing I know about them is that they obviously created the Freebird rule with the Tag Team Championships. But other than that, I didn't really know anything about them. So that's my first experience.
Oh, do you know what? Is the name of this ring announcer? It was my favourite.
Gary Michael Capetta.
Oh yeah, that's it. I just like, for years I would be quoting, even when he wasn't in WCW, I'd be going like, Flyan, Brian. It's such
I had
great
a little
voice.
back and forth with him on Twitter recently. Not in a bad way, it was
really?
very good humoured. But someone was talking about him and things like that, and I think I had mentioned something about the way I always loved the way that he always introduced Sting.
This
every way
is...
it was introducing him or announcing him as the winner. It was always like, the winner of the match is Sting! Because it was always is Sting.
Yeah, I'd love it. This is Sting. They should do more stuff like that nowadays. Look at that mullet, and he's still got the same haircut to this day.
Ricky Moore.
Yeah, Ricky Moore, is he part of the Rock and Roll Express?
Indeed.
Yes.
Right, okay.
I believe Robert Gibson at this point is injured, so Morton's thrust in a singles competition at this point, and he's going against another guy who's just got into singles, a former tag partner of Big Sid Vicious in the Skyscrapers.
Oh wow.
That's good. Dan Spivey.
Quite a cowboy theme going on throughout the show.
Lots of chaps. Well, it's Dusty Rhodes in charge.
Oh, this is not the last cowboy you're going to see tonight, Sam. Yeah, got the chaps going. Dan Spivey, he's another man of many different eras. So he was like he was replacement for Barry Windham in the US Express. And they did a little very brief team up with Mike Rotunda at that time. And then, as I say, he was in the Skyscrapers with Sid Vicious, and also they reunited the Skyscrapers with Mean Mark Callis.
Oh, yeah.
The Undertaker.
What was Dan Spivey in WWF?
He was. Do you remember his gimmick? He was in the 90s. He wasn't around for a huge amount, but he was based
the
on
Night
a
Stalker or
Hero
something?
character.
Who was he? Who was the Night Stalker? No, the Night Stalker was Barry Windham. Who was Dan?
Night Stalker was Barry Windham.
Who was Dan Spivey?
Dan Spivey had a brief comeback in the 90s as what was his name? Waylon Mercy.
That's it. Yes.
Who was the inspiration, pretty much inspiration of the original incarnation of Bray Wyatt. At the moment, he is actually just giving Morton the pasting here, but then Morton comes out with the jumping punches. I love that. Really oversell the size difference. He's jumping up to punch Spivey in the head.
Do you know, just a few months ago, when the Rock and Roll Express won the NWA World Tag Team Championships. Oh, what a hell of a DDT there. But they won the World Tag Team Championships. That was, one, it was brilliant. But then, obviously, they appeared on AEW Dynamite. And Ricky Morton pulling off a Canadian Destroyer. Which was great, because he then took it back to NWA and did the same move there.
Yeah.
So an old dog learning new tricks.
Yeah, that with LAX. There was a match with LAX, believe it or not, with in one of the Mania weekends a couple of years ago. Raw Express against LAX. They did it there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, hilarious. To break up pinball attempt.
Look at that, that was a Razor's Edge.
Whoa. That was a Razor's Edge, hell of a one.
Yeah.
Might be it.
No. Well, you can't
No,
pin
right.
something. Well, yeah, it can't be a pin. He was holding the rope.
Didn't even notice that. Oh, yeah, Morton's going back. Morton's always he was the best baby face in herald sort of situation in the Rock and Roll Express tag. He was always the guy that was getting beaten on for ages and ages.
Yeah.
And you get that tag to Gibson and come back.
But you know what? It's always underrated. When you see someone get beaten up like that, it fires up the crowd to want to... Look at that, amazing leg drop. To want to see a comeback. And that was such an essential part to that mould of tag team, which you'd see with the Rockers, which you'd see with the Hardys, you know, which you see with the Young Bucks today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the Bucks definitely base their stuff a lot on this sort of... These sort of teams like Rock and Roll and the Rockers and stuff. Oh, Japanese arm drag, nice.
Mm.
Very nice arm drag. Like this Spivey guy.
Roll up.
All muscle.
He's in good condition at this point, yeah.
So it's amazing, though, that the Rock and Roll Express... have they ever been in WWE?
Yeah, briefly they had like a oh, hello, bit of a botch there.
Well, what are we going for? A powerbomb?
Powerbomb. Boom, that's it.
There it is.
This is
That's
it.
gonna be it.
We never see this pin anymore.
Oh, hello. Oh, he kicks out. No, he didn't. Okay.
Curious. It looked like he did.
Morton kicked out the same face there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the win for Spivey. So yeah, they were doing it for a little bit. They did a match at Survivor Series some year, 93 or 94. They did like a Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Yeah, okay, I do remember.
And then they were part of the NWA invasion during the Attitude Era. Jim Cornette.
Yes, you are right.
They had a very bad match with the Headbangers once.
They're WWE Hall of Famers, aren't they?
They are.
They are. But most of the work here and elsewhere, not in their particularly, but...
Oh, same as Sting, I suppose, isn't it? All of his...
Nope. Standing by, apparently, is Missy Hyatt.
Wow.
Okay, we have Missy Hyatt, Tony Schiavone, and a guy with a tremendous mullet.
It's the Z-Man, it's Tom
Oh,
Zenk.
it's the Z-Man, Tom Zenk.
Yeah. Has he died now?
I think he passed away a few years ago.
That's so sad. I really like the Z-Man, but he was like an example of the ultimate jobber.
Yeah, he never got like a massive sort of...
He almost never won.
Did he? So, Tom Zenk, American professional wrestler. Yeah, passed away December 2017.
Oh dear.
It's weird seeing people that I recognise from now, like Tony Schiavone there.
Oh, you should have seen him with like the moustache years earlier than this.
I like how Missy Hyatt is she's trying to be a legit interviewer in this.
Oh, what is this
thing.
fight?
So she's got the bow tie, like the same as Tony has got. So she's got to put that on to make sure she looks ultra professional.
Of course. With full cleavage out.
Well,
I believe her thing is she's going to be doing backstage interviews, but she's going to try and get in the men's locker room or something to be the first person ever to do an interview in the locker room.
Oh, nice.
Oh, we're going back in time, apparently. Okay. Oh, Wrestle War. There we are. Right. Okay. So this is back when she did it at Wrestle War, apparently, earlier in the year.
No boats like this.
Oh, okay, so apparently we're still echoing. So I'm getting more comments from Officer Mutiny on DL Live. So DL Live is back. Different person, but hello. You guys... Oh, look at this. Stan Hansen.
Stan Hansen chasing around.
Chewing tobacco. Let's check out the audio.
There's a lot of chewing tobacco in his mouth. Is there still an echo?
Yes, there is.
Is it coming off one person in particular?
Yes, there is. Dave, could you just mic check, tell us about the Z-Man? Dave, could you just mic check, tell us about the Z-Man? Oh, hang on. Oh, so Dave has muted himself.
I muted myself. Yes. Hello. What do you want me to do? Mic check what?
Hang on. That's fine. Yeah, there is an echo. I don't know why. We don't get echo on the other phones. Well, you can try it. Yeah, give it a try. So at the moment we're kind of on a pause during the WCW show. We're going to find out.
Oh, try to pause it.
Okay, so in fact, what I'm going to say is, Sam, can you just cover sound for us there? No, don't pause it. Don't pause it. Don't pause it. You haven't paused it, have you, Sam?
I've just restarted it.
Okay, so Tommy Rich is coming. I meant like there wasn't any action happening in the ring. Okay, Sam, can you keep talking, and that way I'll be able to check if it's my mic.
Yes, of course I can. So this is Tommy Rich coming to the ring now. Not a name that I recognised from anything I've seen before, but he's got the typical look of that sort of era. He's got the long blonde locks. He's got a very vivid blue jacket as well with some sparkles on it. Very nice. And yeah, he's coming in. It looks like he's some sort of nickname or gimmick for him is Wildfire. I don't know exactly what that means, but it's time to find out who his opponent is. So we'll be finding that out very soon.
This is a great experience for everyone watching. So I have unmuted myself, and let's see if I can be heard. Yeah, Sam, you weren't echoing, and I'm not echoing, so I think it's just Dave.
Okay.
So Dave, you are the echo monster.
I am the echo monster.
Yeah. Okay, Dave, can you just talk for us for a moment, and I'm going to check your audio.
I'm going to try again. So we've got Tommy Rich versus Nikita Koloff going on at the moment. How's that?
There is a tiny bit of an echo with you, Dave, but it's just you. It's not all three of us, so I'm willing to run the course. I can't understand why. I'll troubleshoot that because we have had it on a show before, but we don't notice it on the improv shows. Yeah. But anyway, so who is wrestling Tommy Rich?
Tommy Rich and Nikita Koloff.
Nikita Koloff was such a badass.
He looks it as well, doesn't he? You look at him, you just think, I do not want to mess with him in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
And he looks as well from the looks of how tight his gear is. He's just as big upstairs as he is downstairs.
He was very good at playing the monster in this sort of era. Tommy Rich is a former NWA champion.
Wow, you're right, actually.
Yeah, he beat Ric Flair and
very short-lived.
Lost it back to Ric Flair later in the week.
Yep, there you go. I can't even think what the story was and why they gave it to him.
No, I think it's one of those ones where everyone just goes, why did that happen? I don't know. Yeah.
So shoulder blocks to the corner.
Referee Mike Atkins, apparently. According to the closed captions.
So the interesting thing.
Former member of the FBI in ECW.
Oh wow, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. So Nikita Koloff, again, another wrestler who I'm fairly sure never been in WWE.
No, he never did.
I think he might be.
Storyline brother Ivan Koloff was in WWE.
Yeah, true.
Something like that. Ivan Koloff beat Bruno Sammartino to end his 8-year reign. His first 8-year reign as the WWF champion. Apparently, it caused such a. Apparently, it brought Madison Square Garden to absolute silence when he won.
Wow. Well, you think back in those days when titles didn't change hands, like it didn't have it. It didn't happen. Obviously, there'd been the NWA belts before it, but people would literally be champion for year after year. Hence, you could have an 8-year reign.
Yeah. Also, wasn't Bruno Sammartino notorious for not doing jobs for people if he didn't feel they could?
Yeah, basically. It was. I mean, yeah, like I say, it was an 8-year reign. I mean, how many championships have had a multi-year reign like that?
Hardly any. I remember a few years ago when John Cena did, like, he's champion for a year. It seemed like this is unheard of.
Yeah, well, they made a big thing about Pete Dunne being the UK champion for 750 days or something like that.
Wow. But that's an interesting thing, just because when you go to the Attitude Era, there were constant title changes, and it wasn't any more visibly worse than the WCW World Championship in about the mid-year 2000, where it changed hands something like 16, 17 times. And hence the reason why Booker T is the five-time WCW champion. Because he won it four times within 3 months.
Oh, Mr. Crossbody. The old 10 punch, no one does that anymore, do they?
You don't. Yeah, there's so many old tricks which you could get something out of. Into the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, Russian sickle! There it is.
This is going to be it.
That's it. So again, we've had a couple of big bad guys getting the wins over the fiery babyfaces.
But look at that. Isn't that great? As soon as he's won, before he's even celebrating, he's yelling at someone in the crowd.
Yeah.
What a heat seeker. Look at that. Look at his face.
So Koloff debuted in 1984. He's a storyline nephew of Ivan Koloff. And he teamed as a team called the Russians. He had a guy, his comrade was called Crusher Khrushchev.
Yeah.
Who is also known as Barry Darso, aka Demolition Smash. And Repo Man.
So, what his career ended early 90s.
Yeah, he was. I think he's part of that War Games match we talked about, the part of Sting Squadron.
Did he get injured?
I think he suffered an injury at that point.
Herniated disc in his neck after receiving a stiff clothesline from Vader. Wow.
I love that he just won that match with a clothesline.
Yeah. But you know what? You do get some clotheslines. Clothesline seems like it shouldn't be a finisher, but obviously, when you'd see Bradshaw doing... Oh, Johnny B. Bad, love it. When you'd see...
This is the debut of Johnny B. Bad.
This is his debut.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just going to quickly say about the clotheslines. When you see, like, JBL doing his clothesline from hell, there are some clotheslines which do look like they devastate you. It's an underrated move. So, Sam...
Look at the contour on Johnny B. Bad.
Sam, do you know who Johnny B. Bad is?
No, but I'm guessing it's making some sort of reference to the Chuck Berry song.
Possibly, and he's meant to look like Little Richard, which they actually later include in his theme music. But here is the mind-blowing thing. So, he is the former husband...
Teddy Long.
Yep, Teddy Long.
Long's next to him in the do-rag.
Okay, but Sam, Johnny B. Bad there is the former husband of Brock Lesnar's current wife.
Sable.
Yep.
Yeah. The wild man, Mark Marrow.
So Mark Marrow, so that's Mark Marrow, and when he went to WWF in about '96, they brought his wife in as his valet, and that was Sable, and she completely overtook his career there, and then ended up marrying Brock Lesnar.
Wow.
Apparently Vince wanted to bring in Johnny B. Bad, and obviously they couldn't use that name or character.
I don't know why they couldn't use the character. They could have used the character.
I love Teddy Long. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Look at the... faces than Mera does in these. Are hilarious.
It looks like it's been superimposed on. It doesn't look like it's his face.
Okay, let's hear. Is Johnny going to speak?
As part of Tilly Long Tramble there just came up on closed captions as undecipherable. What did he say about being a little girl?
I don't know. I'm so pretty.
I'm so pretty. Oh my god, I'm so pretty. I should have been born a little girl. That's not the best line to say in your debut. First thing that anyone hears is the character. And that's it, he's off.
Oh, that's his debut.
That's his debut.
But you know what? Johnny B. Bad was a great character. There was a lot of experimentation, as we've spoken about, in WCW at this time, where they tried to have more WWF-style gimmicks and personas. But Johnny B. Bad was one of the best ones.
It was good fun. It was very good fun. I liked it when he sort of came a good guy and he had the bad blasters, didn't he?
Yeah, it was just a big what's it called? Pop thing. Like party popper.
Yeah, a big confetti
That's
gun.
it.
That's it. Right,
Why
so
did you get all dressed up for that?
It's his debut, he's going to get dressed up for it.
Okay, I'll
come
go
out in a
ahead.
jeans and t-shirt, go.
The knee pads are fairly unessential there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, here we go. Terry Taylor versus Dustin Rhodes.
Ah.
Very interesting.
Natural. Dustin Rhodes.
Oh, Dustin was so good at this stage. Still so early in his career, because he'd only been in WWF like the year before this.
Yeah.
Or earlier that year, in fact. It was a little tag
He was,
team
him and
with
Dusty. Who did they take on? Was it...
Million Dollar Man and Virgil.
That's it.
The breakup angle with Virgil afterwards. Yeah, no, Dusty was so good, though. The natural talent he was.
Yeah, no pun intended, it's correct.
I think he's brilliant, even pushing 30 years on.
Okay, and so his opponent here, the tailor-made man, if he's ever going to appear, Terry Taylor.
A guy who's had so many gimmicks.
I know, but his most famous gimmick, Sam, if you're familiar, is the Red Rooster. Heard of it?
No, not at all.
So in WWF, he would come out with literally a streak of like red hair down the middle, like a cockerel, and he was called the Red Rooster. And he would do like
Must point out, he's wearing his Red Rooster gear now.
Oh, look at that! You see that
That's the same
with
jacket.
him walking down the aisle in front of him?
Terry Reynolds.
Yep, and that's gonna quite
Mr.
possibly.
Hughes behind him.
Yeah, is it what? Who's that? Mr. Hughes.
Mr. Hughes.
Okay, so the woman coming out with him there is Dustin Rhodes' ex-wife.
Oh, of course,
Yeah, they would have been calling it this time.
Marlena.
And she's on his opposing team.
Yeah. But who knows? Were they married at this stage?
No, they weren't married. I don't think they started seeing each other at this point. They may have maybe started.
It
but
might have
that was
started here
That was the whole
tonight.
reason for like Dusty and Dustin not talking for a long while, because he just didn't really like her, and they didn't speak for a long, long time.
I thought the reason was because of the whole Gold Dust gimmick.
They had been not talking for a little while before that, I think. I'm not sure, but that's what I remember from it anyway. But so this is the York Foundation. So the gimmick of this lot is that she has that computer in her hand, and that will tally up all everything about the opponent and give them the best strategy.
That's not a bad idea for a gimmick. That isn't
I mean,
bad
IRS
these
was part of
days.
this gimmick once, and there was a thing of like give him like the opponent the stats and all that sort of stuff, and they would tell him that you'll be able to beat this opponent within like whatever time it would be, so like 5 minutes 41 or something like that, and he'd like win in 5 minutes 30 or something. He'd be like, oh, beat the computer's odds and all that sort of stuff. So that's the.
Pretty interesting.
I think Ricky Morton joined the York Foundation at some point as well.
I can't remember offhand.
I think it was Richard Morton at some point.
So Mr. Hughes had a few runs in WWE, and he was always like his permanent gimmick in wrestling was just someone's bodyguard on the outside.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, did he come in at one point at the end for Jericho?
Yeah, it was Jericho's corner guy for a brief time.
But who was he in the mid-90s? Who did he come out with then?
So he was managed by Harvey Whippleman in his WWF run at the beginning. And he had a feud with The Undertaker, which never actually led to a televised match between the two.
Wow.
Which should really tell you everything you need to know. He came in with Jericho, I think, to sort of, it was like the lackey to help beat up against Shamrock. He wasn't around for very long at all, like maybe a month and a half or something.
You would always get these gimmicks in the 90s, probably possibly the 80s as well with Hulkamania. But like we were saying about the Dungeon of Doom, there would always be like Harvey Whippleman or Camp Cornette, who's just so determined to defeat like the good guy, like the Undertaker or Hulkamania or anything like this, or the Mighty Lex Express. It's like, why do you so want to defeat the face like this?
Interesting thing I was listening to the Tony Schiavone's podcast. Apparently there was maybe like for the next, not the next WrestleMania after this, but the one after, maybe like 93, right, WrestleMania, whichever one was in Las Vegas. Apparently there was sort of like a play. The WWF wanted to make a play to bring Dustin Rhodes in to face Hulk Hogan.
Wow.
It was like this is what he says in his podcast anyway. And there's a sort of like thing of Hulk Hogan versus Rhodes, because obviously they never did Hogan versus Dusty.
Yeah.
So this was the next best thing.
That's true. We
I
never
don't know
got
if
that
that
match.
is true at all. But...
Yeah, that is a match that's never even crossed my mind, to be honest.
Big right hand. Love it.
It's very interesting to see where Cody got his current hairstyle idea from.
Well, they all got it from Dusty.
Well, of course.
You know.
I like what happened there to see what happened. That's how good these two are. Because something went a little bit wrong with the exchange there, and Dustin just brought him back down with a headlock and an armbar and whatnot, and then just sort of carried on from there and just reset. And some wrestlers these days are so wanting to get their moves in and get the sequence that they've talked about in, that they're not sort of necessarily willing to sort of just go with the flow. If something goes wrong, I've seen it so many times when wrestlers something like goes wrong, and they'll be like, "Oh, I need to reset and do that again."
I hate that. I hate that so much. Like when you literally see them just. One of my biggest pet hates nowadays, and when Dynamite started, like literally watching this on TV on Dynamite, where there'd be wrestlers be like, "Come on, like I'm ready for you," to go into a move where they're about to get hit. It was like, and they seem to have weaned that out. But you saw it in the first 2, 3, 4 weeks at least of Dynamite. I saw it over and over again. It's like, you know, the audience can see that, right? Look at that, it's a block for it. You never see that anymore.
Never see a block super. And a reversal.
Yeah.
When was like the first time you sort of had to like realise that wrestling wasn't like legit?
It's still real to me, damn it!
So I guess I was sort of watching. That was interesting.
Look at that though, onto the ramp.
On the ramp, yeah, the ramp. So I won't talk about that. The fact that there's a ramp here. The ramp is so. I'm so glad AEW brought that back as a thing. Yeah. It's such a good extra thing to use.
But is it?
Else. It makes it interesting. Is that more grand, and it can be extra like stuff for the wrestlers to use.
I was never a fan of the ramp, just because you can't go all the way around the outside. You'd basically walk in a horseshoe, and then you'd have to turn back unless you're going up onto the ramp.
It was a pleasure during Battle Royals, but that's where.
Well, things like The Undertaker's American Badass probably wouldn't have worked in this sort of era then, because of the motorbike going all the way around the ring. But
yeah, true. Although he could drive straight into the ring.
Into the ring, or they could just like get to the thing and just park it up, and some blokes will have to come out and reverse it back out again because they're going around. What was it? So I was just saying the first time I realised wrestling maybe not completely right was the Ultimate Warrior versus Papa Shango feud.
Oh really? With the smoke coming up.
The smoke and the slime coming from people's heads, or in Mean Gene Okerlund's view from his hand, because obviously he couldn't do it from the head because he didn't have any hair. Bless him. But it wasn't even that. It was like things like my mum was sort of like even like pointing out things like, look, when he goes to that move, you know, it's how the opponent is also like springing up on his knees and doing things like a suplex. You see the opponent.
Yeah, parents love to ruin it, don't they?
They're like, yeah.
Oh.
It's like, okay. So that's a good little bit. It's the move that is nothing, but simply to just fall into someone's face, into someone's foot.
Well, that was never going to work either. He wasn't even lying in the right position. He had landed on his feet.
It's ridiculous how Taylor's stuff basically is exactly the same gear as it was when he was the Red Rooster.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to remember, like, the first time...
Just with TT on there rather than RR.
I think, to some degree or other, I would still defend wrestling, like, into the Attitude Era. Like... But not that I fully... Like, I definitely didn't fully think it was, like, real, but there'd be things happen, I'd be like, oh, they're really hurt. And family members would be like, no, they're never actually hurt, sort of thing.
Did you see that? Why didn't Patrick just sort of do the count at Taylor's crotch?
I don't know, I missed
the
that.
Shoulders.
Very good.
Now the Bulldog finish, and then it's just a distraction.
But, like, what is the distraction here? She's talking to him about her laptop, and why is he entertaining it?
Well, just point out how ripped Nick Patrick is. Good lord, look at that.
I know, like, he's got, like, the low-cut shirt. He's basically, like, he's dressed up like John Travolta. Like, the wide collar.
User get involved, here we go.
Oh, he's gonna definitely duck. Definitely duck. He is definitely ducking here. Oh no, I'm wrong.
No, he's not. That almost never works.
No. Oh, is he trying to get... What's he got? He's got a glove. He's got a glove. He's going to duck. He's going to duck. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
This is the worst refereeing I've ever seen in my life.
I've seen worse.
3. Dustin wins.
That was so strange.
That black glove made all the difference.
Yeah.
That was as far as basic wrestling match goes, it was pretty good.
I didn't listen. Did Dustin have his music here? Like, they call him the Natural.
Oh, I've got no idea.
Oh.
I can't hear it, so I'm watching it on mute, so I've got no idea what the music is. I don't know if they... I think some of these old shows are sort of like, on the network at least, sort of redubbed sometimes, that might not even have been that.
Oh, true.
The way Nick Patrick got into that pin as well.
I know.
Yeah. He just sort of got the sliding into a pin. I quite enjoyed it.
Diving onto his own shoulder, which I've done in a wrestling ring, and it bloody hurts.
Yeah.
Mr. Hughes, the only guy I can remember who actually wrestled in his shades and kept them on throughout. I was
What
worried
about Orange Cassidy?
What they break and get into his eyes? That's only really bad. Oh, here we go. All right. You've got to watch these entrances, Sam. This is going to be amazing.
Okay.
This is the part of the show where we got a couple of interesting entrances. This is one of the entrances I really want to watch out for, because I don't think you're going to... Yeah, they're already explaining what's going to happen, so if you're listening to it, you already know what's going to happen. But...
Oh no, I can't hear anything.
Okay, well, we've got the first guy coming out, so this is the first opponent. This is just another
One
cowboy.
fool.
It's Braun Strowman. It's Black Bart.
I love this music.
Sadly, it's not the guy from Blazing Saddles. But it's his opponent that's going to come out that you just need to watch the entrance of. And also, at the end of the match, I want you to tell me who you will know him better as, if you don't already know.
Okay.
Not this guy. I've got no idea what he goes on to do.
Who, Black Bart?
Yeah, Black Bart. I don't recall him at all.
Check out the moustache on the referee. Proper 70s porn star, that.
The curly mullet on Black Bart.
I know.
Absolutely
Okay.
brilliant.
Here we go. Now,
Oh, it's Big Josh.
Big Josh. And look who he's brought with him, a couple of buddies.
Wow.
Jesus Christ!
This is one of the reactions I wanted to see from you, Sam. What's the one so for all your listeners?
That's awful.
Josh is bringing 2 bears to the ring with him, 2 actual live bears, and one of them on the left is pissing.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Pissing down the ramp.
I mean,
What?
I mean, it's entirely kind of wrong, but they should bring him down on their hind legs.
Did you say it was pissing down the ramp?
It's pissing down the ramp. What should get later is that the one on the left is pissing down the ramp.
Oh my god.
See it for a moment there. this is the portion of the show where everything goes a little bit weird, and we sort of have a little bit of like a. It's this and the next couple of matches and ones before I think didn't make it onto the VHS. So this is all like in terms of the VHS releases. This is like the portion that no one really knows. So Big Josh, lumberjack guy, he is better known by another. He goes elsewhere in a year or two.
Yeah, do you know who he is, Sam?
No, not a clue.
Okay.
His real name is Matt Bourne. Does that make a reference?
Okay, let me put it like this. His spirit was just involved in a wrestling pay-per-view.
His spirit?
Look at that move. Just standing on the
Okay, I'll give you a bigger clue. His spirit was involved in Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank match.
What?
Okay, so Big Josh died some years ago now.
Okay.
But his most famous gimmick was Doink the Clown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is the original.
That is incredible.
The evil Doink the Clown as well was brilliant. Which again, was that only about a year after this?
When did he start appearing? He might have started appearing in 1992.
Yeah,
I think.
exactly.
Yeah, it wasn't that far off. This is May 1991, so yeah, maybe.
I always remember, was it at WrestleMania 9 where there was 2 Doinks and there was like...
That was the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other guy, the other doink was Skinner. Skinner!
Ah.
Oh, Dusty just said the danger zone on commentary.
The Danger Zone!
The danger zone! I've been in the danger zone all my life. So this is really odd because this is like essentially just a jobber match with the bigger guy is the jobber for some reason, strangely. And a really technical match here, which doesn't really necessarily suit the Big Josh character when it's meant to be a technical wrestler. What's that?
Also with 3/4 length jeans, you don't really see those very often.
No.
I remember the first time I seen Doink wrestle and just being absolutely blown away because you weren't expecting to know what to expect. And he started the first couple of matches he'd have on TV after we sort of done the attack on Crush and everyone knew he was like an evil clown and all that sort of stuff. And he was just doing absolutely technical wrestling, pure technical wrestling on his jobber opponents. And it was just like, what? Wow, this is just not what I expected at all.
Okay, so Dave,
the original Doink was so good.
He really was. Okay, this Black Bart here, do you know, visually, like you say about Braun Strowman, but the person who he reminds me of, do you remember the Great Antonio?
Great Antonio. I don't remember the Great Antonio.
Very famously, he had a match with Antonio Inoki in Japan. And if you've not seen it, I'm going to send you guys the link to it because.
Oh, I think this guy Inoki just absolutely beats the crap out.
Yes.
Like legit.
He legit destroys him.
Because he wasn't quite the tech that he'd been built up maybe as being like a bigger or better wrestler than he actually was.
Well, he just didn't speak the language, and he didn't understand that now this was the big match that he needs to. He was given like a few wins so that he would then seem like this big threat, and then Inoki would come in and beat him. But he was no-selling Inoki, and he was just like, this is a real fight now, and he knocks him out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In short order.
Oh, yeah, big. Earthquake, that's it.
Wow, look at that.
Earthquake splash.
That's it.
A vertical
Look,
splash
Black
would
Bart,
work for certain wrestlers nowadays. But see, the thing is, you shouldn't give a vertical splash to someone like Earthquake, basically. Like, Earthquake was fine because he was safe. But when you'd get other huge guys like Viscera, or just people like that kind of build. I'm trying to think what other ones as super heavyweights there's been. Like Otis could do a vertical splash. There we go.
This is strange. So Black Bart was in WWF for a little while in 1990, 1991. Had some success on like the Superstars and all that sort of stuff.
As Black Bart, or did he have a different gimmick?
Yeah, as Black Bart apparently.
Okay.
Right. Special edition of the Danger Zone. Oh, it's Paulie Dangerously. This is the Danger Zone. It's Paulie.
I don't know what any of this means.
Well, you know this guy.
Yeah. So Sam, do you know who this
guy
is? Let's see if Sam knows who this. This is half of the interesting thing about all of this.
You know who he is.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul E. Dangerously. This was his original gimmick, as it were.
Yeah.
Lovely.
This guy has the, and there is a reason why his microphone's not working.
Loving the dress sense.
Yeah.
He's doing the Western thing for the segment he's doing from this point on. He's introducing somebody to the crowd, I think.
Sticking with the cowboy stuff.
You'll see why from who he introduces.
He's always been so good on the mic. So good. And it's...
There we go.
What? Oh, okay. I think you're a couple...
Oh, am I ahead of you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the guy chewing tobacco again.
Let me go, yeah. Let me know when he comes in.
Oh, he's in the ring now. He's in the ring. Look at that. The tobacco down the front.
Interviewing Stan the Lariat Hansen.
Yeah. The lariat. Why don't they ever use the term lariat anymore?
Because Vince doesn't like Southern wrestling.
True. Yeah, that's it.
That's the very thing. Oh, that chewing tobacco though is disgusting, isn't it?
Absolutely vile. Oh man, the fact
He's talking about the hat.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Is he talking about the hat and telling him off the hat he's bought?
Oh god. It's a bit queasy.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I didn't like Skinner. He did the same thing when he was around.
He's playing up to it very well though.
Yeah. Oh, Stan Hansen's the man. He was
legit
legend in
tough guy.
Japan. This is like about maybe like, I don't think he's around WCW for very long. I think he has a feud with Lex Luger over the US title. This is what he's promoting. I think is going again. Oh no, it's talking about Dustin apparently. I know he has a feud with Lex Luger at some point over the US title.
Is he going to take?
Am I way ahead of you guys? Because I think I get the impression I might be.
I don't know. Like Heyman's on the mic right now.
Oh, okay. I'm at this point. Okay, Stan's just left.
Yeah.
Paul's talking about Storm and Norman quite a lot, apparently.
Yeah, okay, so also just to say, anyone on the comments, if you've got any comments about WCW back in the day, we're watching SuperBrawl 1 from 1991. Paul Heyman, as Paulie Dangerously, is currently in the ring. And we do have a comment that came a few minutes ago, I forgot to mention at the time, from Blue Eyes Blanco Dragon, I should say. I believe I recognise that name from one of the Extreme Improv shows, and they say NWO for life. Obviously, this predates NWO by 5 years.
It does. Long time.
Look at that microphone with the tobacco on it.
Yeah. All right. So Heyman's just throwing the mic down for my bit. I'm on the same bit, but. So this next segment, this next segment is one of the reasons I wanted us to do a watch along for this show, because this is batshit insane. So it's a debut of a character. So here we go. It's the dark stage.
Oh my goodness, this is incredible.
The dark stage. And
I know
watch
this.
what happens here, Sam. This is amazing. With the green lights. You might want to try.
Anyone with photo epilepsy, be warned.
We've got some sort of weird music going on in the background. Something like that. And we're going to have a narrator to talk over the. This is the debut of a wrestler.
Yeah.
And you're not going to know who it is until he gets in the ring.
This is amazing.
There's a very eerie situation. Dusty says there's nothing like it. There's been something that's indistinct according to the caption competition. The caption. Tell me when comes up, because that is the guy that's on the mic earlier.
Once upon a time,
a land far away,
there lived
a wizard, but not the Wizard of Oz. His name was the Great Wizard.
oh my god, Tin Man, Cowardly Lion.
We've got a Tin Man, a Cowardly Lion, a Scarecrow, and we have a man...
These characters would have still been in copyright at the time.
So I'll tell you all about that in a moment, because Tony's already talked about that.
Okay.
Basically, this is the station they're part of, TBS, that's part of running WCW, had the rights to the Wizard of Oz. This is essentially why they did this. So we've got Tin Man, Dorothy, Scarecrow, and Lion. We've got a man leading them to the castle, constantly saying, "Welcome to Oz, welcome to Oz." And he's got a monkey on his shoulder, big pyro, and there's our debuting wrestler. So going, "Welcome to Oz."
So was this not on the VHS?
Apparently not.
Because I don't like. I'll be honest. I don't remember ever seeing this before.
This is the debut of this character.
You can see why they cut it,
the crowd
though.
are booing this to absolute.
Well, in fact, they probably cut it for the same copyright reasons that we mentioned.
Yeah, possibly. But they are booing the crap out of this. The crowd are not liking this at all. This is like, this is WCW. This is like where the wrestling is, not where this weird stuff is. We're almost there, he says now, as they are there. More pyro. And watch the monkey at this point. So there we are. This is the wrestler talking now. I am Oz, the great and powerful.
Is this another animal that's going to like piss or shit on the stage?
No, the only animal on there is the monkey, or real one anyway.
No, but the bears took a pee. You said.
Yeah. Oh right, no. Something unfortunately does happen to the monkey, which is a bit sad.
Oh no.
So we're not here. It doesn't, but it's a little later on. There's rumours about what happened to the monkey. But yeah, so he's spun around. I will show the world who Oz is. Who Oz really is. More pyro happens. Watch the monkey. He is scared out of his mind. This monkey. And he tries to jump off, and he's jumped down the stage, and he's trying to be pulled back up again. While the guy that's under the
he's got it on a leash.
On a lead. Yeah, so the monkey's trying to get away, and he's pulling him back up. So yeah, unfortunately, apparently the monkey died not long after this.
What, the same night are you saying?
I don't know if it's the same one. This is what Shivani talked about on his podcast, saying that they reckon that there was rumours saying that the monkey basically jumped off and got pulled back up by his neck on the lead as they're going as he's being pulled back up to be carried back off. So yeah, these are both of the so unfortunately it's not very nice, obviously, and Shivani just say obviously if it was our fault, then obviously. Boo on us, that's our bad. But
so do you recognise him, Sam?
You shouldn't do really, because both of them are wearing a mask. Both of them are actually like well-known wrestlers now. Both of these guys, the guy that's doing the whole "Welcome to Oz," he's still saying "Welcome to Oz" at this point over his microphone. He's still saying "Welcome to Oz," even though he's there.
Okay, so I don't know who the little guy is off the top of my head.
So the road's coming off. Here we go, Sam.
Oh.
It's a silver-haired Kevin Nash.
Well, he's still a silver-haired Kevin Nash.
He is now, yeah. But,
wow.
Yeah. So the Grey Wizard and the monkey are still in the ring as this match is happening.
Yeah.
So who is the other guy then?
A jobber. I say he's
No, not the other wrestler. The guy in the mask.
Oh, the guy in the mask. The guy in the mask. Well, I should point out that Tim Parker is getting power bombed out of his mind right now. Getting beaten just like that. That is it. And the guy in the mask is Kevin Sullivan.
Wow.
The guy going, "Welcome to Oz." Yeah, him and the monkey don't even get out of the ring. It's that short a match that they don't even bother just to get out of the ring.
Oh, why?
That's the debut of Oz.
So the entrance took a lot longer.
Oh yes, absolutely. They put a lot into that. They put a lot of work into that. And say,
A lot of money?
a lot of work into it at any rate.
Wow.
But that's the debut. That's the debut of Oz. Not Kevin Nash's debut. He'd already been like one of the Master Blasters or something. I think they were called.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
We had a few characters. So yeah.
Look at that.
So
They
the
had
crowd
no
are absolutely
sense.
wondering what
They had no sense of just going to the commentators or something to cover these moments where we're just looking at a long shot of the ring.
Oh no, we're going to Missy Hyatt now.
Oh, she's got the bow tie on still. She's staying professional.
She's going to try and get another dressing room, interview.
Oh, don't go to him. He won't be
Oh.
right.
She's looking for Tom Zenk. The Z-Man, but she's found Terry Taylor instead.
I can only imagine he's going to be furious.
I don't know what you do in the men's locker room, but this thing with Dustin Rose and York Foundation is not over. I don't know if that's how he sounded, but you know. She keeps asking where the Z-Man is. That's all she cares about.
Why do I feel like she's going to end up going into the shower?
Oh no! Look whose hat and boots are by the shower.
Although he just pops around,
oh! He got into shot. Oh, we're going to be first woman to interview someone in the shower, and yeah, it's him again.
Oh, for God's sake, take the tobacco out!
That's about the funny part of it.
That's amazing.
Oh, hello!
Chewing tobacco. You guys are a few seconds ahead of me now. I'm going to skip forward a little bit.
Just really shows you a different time, doesn't it?
Does a little bit, yeah.
He literally just spanked her with his hat and threw her out of the room.
Dusty's loving it. Like, oh, I'm such a good booker, daddy.
Oh, wow.
Oh, dear.
Joe,
Yeah.
it's so sad, but seeing Jim Ross, look at that, he's smiling, and it wasn't long after this, he obviously had his first bout of Bell's palsy. And yeah, it's just almost a bit surreal to see that now.
Yeah. He's not got his hat on either. I don't think I've ever seen Jim Ross without a hat.
Under the Black Hat, available at
Yeah, I
all
know.
good bookstores now.
I thought you were about to pull it up then. You had that ready.
Do you know
for that
what?
one
I've got his
reference.
first book somewhere right here. I can't spot it off the top of my head. There it
we
is.
go.
So bear with me.
Ryan versus Barry Windham. This is going to be good.
Oh, there we go.
But this
Ryan
is his
Pillman.
first book, not the new one.
Oh, there we are. Lion
Oh,
Brian.
I missed it! Oh no! Flyin!
Lion!
Brian!
Lion!
So Sam, nowadays he's more commonly known as the father of Flying Brian Jr., who you may not even know who that is actually.
No.
Oh, amazing! Oh, oh my goodness! It is Brian Pillman's birthday today.
Oh, well.
Yep, May
I'm sure he's watching
22nd.
this. Happy birthday, Brian.
Well, he died in
No, not
1997.
that. He wouldn't be.
Oh, I'm probably not watching then.
Yeah. But yeah, today, May 22nd, is the birthday of Brian Pillman.
Oh, nice.
Oh, Barry Windham. He's one of my favourites.
He was
Underrated favourite.
he was so underrated. I loved even the late 1990s when they had the Red Texas sorry, what is it? The West Texas Rednecks.
West Texas. Yeah.
Do you remember their song?
I hate rap.
Yeah.
Rap is crap. They were supposed to be the heels.
I
of the
like
against
country
the No Limit
music.
Soldiers because
Yeah.
it was Southern WCW country.
They turned on
leaned
Rey
towards the
Mysterio
rednecks
and Conan.
because they like country music.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barry Windham's got a lethal shove.
He's very so good, and this I think we're sort of this sort of next
Deceptively
2-3
strong,
years.
deceptively big.
Yeah.
Former
There's,
NWA World Champion.
His run up to about, I think this run in WCW up to the point where he next joins WWF is probably when he's sort of like his sort of zenith, and it's sort of like his next time he goes to WWF about 96 when he's the Stalker.
Yeah.
Maybe it sort of starts winding down a little bit and it's not quite as good as he used to be. But here he's like so good against Brian Pillman. This is going to be really good. I'm not sure if this is the same match, but I know they had a match where it's a loser leaves stipulation, and then Brian Pillman loses, and he starts coming back under a mask as the Yellow Dog.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this could
I think
be.
it's the same year.
Brian Pillman, Brian Pillman had such a tragic life. He had about 30 operations on his throat. So if you ever hear a Brian Pillman promo, especially like the late 90s, he constantly sounds like he's got this overly deep, tough guy voice for a guy that's a smaller frame. And at the time, he was like quite possibly the first WCW light heavyweight champion.
I think so.
But now he would be probably considered like mid to bigger size wrestler.
tumble.
Oh, nasty landing.
Oh, you guys are ahead of me. I'm going to pause there.
No, I think I'm ahead. I think you're ahead of me. Okay, Dave? What are you seeing on screen right now?
Pillman's off the top now. You just hit a fist off the top.
Okay, I literally just saw that. We're basically in sync.
1 hour 10. Now 20.
10:20 now, yeah.
Yeah, 10:20.
Okay, we're about the same.
Yeah.
Right. So Pillman obviously had the tragic the accident. Yes, this is
Had to
great.
have his,
Later on, when he
ankle
was doing the
fused,
loose
didn't he?
cannon stuff, he was he actually properly tricked Eric Bischoff to properly release him from his contract, so that they could add to this sort of story that he was like a loose cannon that was going back and forth between the companies. He went to ECW for a tiny little bit, building up to a big match between him and like Shane Douglas or something, and then it was like possibly do stuff in WWF, but then he so he legitimately he tricked Eric Bischoff to legitimately release him.
Yeah.
And then immediately after that signed with WWF. So it was ridiculous. But then that's when he had his motorcycle accident, and that's when it sort of came forward. Oh, hello, Barry.
Yeah, he was. I saw him in like the previous shot that he was busted open, but I didn't see where it happened.
Oh, I didn't notice till then.
I suppose it must have been when he came off the top rope.
Must have been.
Selling the right hand from Pillman, I guess.
But then again, this would have been in the time of blading, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. It wouldn't have had any
Might not have been.
this, I guess. I don't know. Maybe her didn't like this. Is that Pillman bleeding, or is that part of Wyndham's?
I'm not sure.
Maybe it hit at some point.
Oh, he got his head hit on the outside on the railing, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. But I just think maybe hit head to head at some point. Pillman looks like he's bleeding as well, but I'm not sure. But this is a hell of a fight. This is the sort of stuff I like, where it's like feels real.
Into the corner. Oh, even that looked painful. He's going to ruin his luscious blonde locks.
Now, I can't remember quite what the story is, but a story which I liked, which I heard about Brian Pillman during the whole loose cannon part of his career. I forget who it was, but there was like someone he wanted to sneak in somewhere, and I forget he wanted to borrow someone's credentials to get into some event so he could run in something or this or that, and he was like, I can't be the only one making sacrifices for his career, even though he was going to cost this other guy his job. But he really earned the name the Loose Cannon, where he was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And obviously, as we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, it ended up with, even though this was part of the storyline, where he pulls a gun on Steve Austin because Steve Austin's coming to break into his house.
Yeah, he's ahead of his time in many ways.
Yeah.
Is Barry Windham somewhat related to Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas?
Yes, I believe he's
Like an uncle?
their uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
It's IRS is their dad, and I think Barry Windham is married to Rotunda's sister.
Right. I thought there was some sort of link. I just couldn't
And
remember.
he himself, I believe, is also related to one of the Blackjacks.
Blackjack Mulligan?
Possibly, yeah. He is one of the new Blackjacks with Bradshaw in WWF a little bit as well.
Yeah.
And Bradshaw was also sort of like a nephew of one of them as well.
Right.
That's the Superplex. That is his move. That's what I would say. Got him.
Over. Got him. Oh, he's still pounding away on his
Look, this is how blood feud this is. They're still hitting each other.
And again, you don't get that nowadays, do you?
Nah.
There's so much on this which we just never see.
That was brutal. I really enjoyed that. You can probably tell how much we're enjoying these matches by if we're not saying very much. I think we've probably said the least during that. Yeah, the low blow which sort of set the whole thing up.
So, Sam,
Yeah,
how are you enjoying this versus Money in the Bank?
Well, I mean, they're two very different things, aren't they? I don't think you can necessarily compare them like for like, because you look at like the era and the fact that Money in the Bank is all gearing up towards the big Money in the Bank match at the end. But I think there's some very good points to this. You know, I quite like the classical style where, you know, nowadays maybe some of the things that would happen in this would be considered a bit cliche, but obviously at the time they were still
true.
using a lot of their techniques like this. So I'm finding it quite interesting. You know, it's nice being able to look back and see some people that I recognise and appreciate some people I've never seen before, that sort of thing.
He's back.
DDP!
Yeah.
I know what you're saying about the long shots and things like that, but I quite like the WCW way of doing these sort of things sometimes, when it was like, this match is finished, they're going to exit stage right or whatever, you know, that sort of thing. But up on the stage is the next bit, the next entrance is coming up, and they're sort of keeping things going.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm appreciating that bit, and they're not sort of just going immediately coming back to a backstage skit, even though they have done a couple this evening. Which is, for 1981, it's quite rare anyway, because WWF only ever did like the locker room interviews, didn't they?
Yeah.
Things like that,
But see, some of that though, they could have just like cut to a picture-in-picture of something. I mean, obviously we're watching it, and like occasionally I'm putting an earpiece in, so we're not hearing the commentary to cover things.
Yeah. DB is. I believe this is another debut of somebody you might know, Sam.
Okay, right.
So yeah, it could be interesting. But he's talking about Lex Luger and Sting for some reason at the moment, the Steiners, and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know who the girls are in this one at all. They're just some random ones.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Luger and Sting.
Yeah.
Doing a backstage thing for some reason.
Sam, how familiar are you with Lex Luger?
I recognise him, and I know that compared to now, he's unrecognisable these days because he's just completely lost all of his bulk.
Yeah.
I don't really know too much about like his character or anything like that, but I know that he was quite a big part of like the time when people were going between WCW and WWF quite a lot.
Well, okay,
he was
so
the first big guy to do it.
he was on the debut episode of WCW Monday Nitro. He turned up on Nitro, and WWF didn't know. They were in between contract negotiations. They believed that there was a deal in place, but nothing was signed. And he went to WCW for a lot less money than WWF was going to give him.
Look who's coming.
Ah, Razor Ramon.
He's at this point on the Diamond Stud.
Yeah.
Got the kiss curl going.
See, and this is an interesting thing because
That outfit.
he's got the curl, he's got the toothpick. He absolutely is the same character that Razor Ramon would be. And yet WCW, when he came back there as Scott Hall, WWF sued them for copyright infringement over his gimmick. And yet he's here, he's already doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go the pants.
Oh, wow.
Great
camera shot there, wasn't it?
Oh my god, do you remember...
The woman stood in front of the camera shot.
Dave, do you remember the debut of Lex Luger in WWF as the narcissist?
Oh, yes.
And Bobby Heenan is just like crouching in front of him. And he's like, look at the narcissist! And he can't pronounce it properly. And he's basically just staring into his crotch. Sam, you've got to see it. It's epic.
Okay.
Bobby Heenan does his best.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work, bless him, but Heenan always did his best when it came to that sort of thing.
I think Scott Hall is a unit in this, isn't he?
Yeah.
Again, this is another debut, but they're not wrestling, they're just out there and just being introduced to the crowd, and that's back on the next match. Oh, it's the stretcher match!
Ooh.
Loser must leave in a stretcher. It's
Oh
Big
my
Sid.
God.
Oh, Psycho
Big Sid
Sid.
Vicious.
Yeah.
He hails from anywhere he darn well pleases. That's his actual thing with the introduction.
They should use stuff like that. Look at that. He is such a nasty looking guy.
Well, Orange Cassidy does now, doesn't he? Because he's from wherever.
Yeah.
And
True.
he's whatever.
Yeah.
How old have I heard that? So this is loser leaves on a stretcher. Remember that stipulation.
Okay.
Just remember that's the stipulation.
Okay.
Yeah, this is another one I've seen multiple times for wrong reasons. And look who his opponent is. Here we go.
See, I made a point of not looking this show up before seeing it again today, so this is literally going to be... Oh my god, El Gigante.
El Gigante!
Where is my El Gigante? I need to celebrate the fact that...
I must say, oh, you should, yeah. You should
Okay, let's find my El
He's even
Gigante.
bringing the stretcher with him. That's amazing.
Giant Gonzalez.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
He was an Argentinian basketball player.
So there we
Yeah,
see,
I know
El
that, because that was
Gigante.
the way he was sold as. There he is. That's what he was sort of sold on, as almost like his gimmick. He is a former Argentinian basketball player, now turned wrestler, with the worst haircut known to man. But that may be, I think that was storyline. I think someone tried to shave his hair off.
Okay.
And they just kept the hair as it is. Because let's face it, who's going to tell him to redo his hair?
Well, yeah.
Look at this, he makes Sid look small.
I know, he was so big. He was so big.
I mean, what a rare situation for someone like Sid or The Undertaker to be in, to be looking up at someone.
Look at Sid. I love Sid for his character.
Yeah.
He just did not give a shit. It was like, he just get in there, just get in the face of anybody.
So how tall is El Gigante?
7'7".
Yeah.
They claimed 8 foot in WWF when he was Giant Gonzalez, but he was legit 7'7".
Wow.
So you think the Great Khali is 7'3"?
Yeah.
They claimed Andre was 7'4", but he was actually more like 6'10".
10 or something.
Yeah.
Test of strength.
Oh, you never get this anymore.
Not really.
Have you ever seen the clips of the El Gigante versus Nails match from Japan?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, look it up. It's hilarious. The worst match ever.
Wow.
It's so bad. Reversal. Big clothesline.
Very slowly into that clothesline, they.
Oh, he couldn't move, bless him. They always said he could move well for a big guy, but it's like, oh, come on, it's giant. He can't move that well.
Yeah.
This is rare sort of unshaven Sid as well. He was always really good for being like
He's got kind of like a Jack Nicholson in The Shining wildness to it.
Yeah, yes.
That's what I was going for, but I left it a bit too long.
Oh, Sid. Strange,
He just
tortured
tapped out.
character, as it were.
Joking.
The guy that always took every deal he ever had very, very seriously. He was sold that he would go join WWF and would basically be in Hulk Hogan's spot right away and things like that. And he left because he felt that the band lied to him.
Well, isn't it at WrestleMania 8 that he wasn't supposed to kick out? And he just decided to kick out in the main event.
Papa Shango was supposed to interfere and stop the pinfall, but he was there too late. Here we go, big boot, and there's the claw. Nothing can stop the claw, and that's it.
Why did he pin him? Why isn't it supposed to be on a stretcher?
Yeah, the loser leaves on a stretcher. So there's still a regular match. The loser leaves on a stretcher, and Elgin just wins just like that. That's it. But look who's going. The one-man gang.
Wow.
And Kevin Sullivan. So bear in mind, loser leaves on a stretcher, but they've just come out. I believe this is who's shaved El Gigante's head, or tried to.
Oh my god.
Look at that.
And Sid's just left.
Yeah.
Just like left. He was just leaving on the stretcher, but no, he's out there. One man gang, formerly known as Akeem.
Yeah, the African Dream. Was that a dig at Dusty? Do we know that?
Yes, I believe it was. African Dream. He spoke like Dusty as well.
Yeah, he did.
Try and pick him. Look at it. Try and pick the 400. Oh god. So I guess he's thinking, well, someone's going out on the stretcher.
Yeah.
Sid's just got up and left. Having done like, oh, salt in their face.
Oh.
That's some very powdery salt.
I know, it'd always be visual.
It's more like icing sugar.
Oh,
Oh, Jesus.
oh. I love how Gigante's selling. Oh.
Well, like I showed you, this is him selling.
That's exactly what it is. And they just left. And they left a coked up El Gigante to chase after them.
Well, he is South American.
That's it. So there's a loser leaves on a stretcher and no one left on a stretcher.
Right. Okay.
Sid just disappeared. And that was Sid's last match in WCW. And they go on to WWF to be Sid Justice and then come back and go about another year and a half later.
Yeah.
He was another one that flipped flops between everyone.
He was Psycho Sid at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah,
That's right.
they gave him the name Psycho after he stabbed Arn Anderson something like 30 times with a pair of scissors.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, Anderson actually was the person that introduced the scissors. They got into an argument in England, actually, at a hotel whilst on a tour here, and Anderson and Sid, I think there was a lot of alcohol involved. They were both drunk, and I think Sid went to confront Anderson. Anderson opened his door with a pair of scissors and may have stabbed Sid once, 2 or 3 times. Sid got control of the scissors and just bludgeoned Anderson almost to death. And the story is, look at that, the natural Butch Reed.
It's Hacksaw Butch Reed.
Oh, is he Hacksaw? Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, apparently.
But then the story is that Sid ended up with Big Van Vader poking his thumb into one of the puncture wounds to stop the bleeding to save his life.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So this is a Thunderdome cage match we're about to have.
All cage.
Oh, I love the theme music for Butch Reed here. This is also because he was in the tag team with Ron Simmons, and he had the same music during the time he was world champion.
Well, this is the Doom Fallout match. This is Butch Reed versus Ron Simmons.
Yeah.
In the cage. Alright, so Thunderdome cage. I think they're going to get a cage roofed. I think, and then they've got Teddy Long, manager, being held in the shark cage on the outside.
Teddy Long get chained.
Pardon? Yeah, he got chained. Yeah, he's got different suit on.
Yeah. That was so typical for managers, where they'd come out, like you'd get Jimmy Mouth of the South Heart come out at WrestleMania or Royal Rumble with the Nasty Boys or whoever else he may have been managing at the time, if he was with the Natural Disasters or whoever, and he'd just come out and he'd have like a different jacket on and different look for each guy.
Teddy Long went out there and then decided to try and stop them putting him in the cage.
At the last second.
It's like, yeah, I'll come all this way. No, don't put me
So
in the
this
cage.
is probably the inspiration for the King of the Mountain match, because he's in a penalty box.
He's been suspended.
Why?
So he doesn't interfere.
Well, why does he need to be suspended in a cage above the ring?
Not only that, above a cage.
Above a cage? I always like...
Extra abilities that the managers have. There he goes.
Look at that.
Damn!
I was a
Just this
huge
88 year as
Ron
well.
Simmons fan when he became world champion.
Yeah, that was a cool moment. I didn't know who he was until I'd seen like that show where they basically the highlight of shots of the highlight package of him winning the title. I was like, oh wow, like throwing Vader around. I was like, wow.
Yeah. They kind of dropped the ball with him.
Oh, absolutely. He didn't get over as much as I think they was hoping.
And this was always the Ron Simmons thing. You'd see the audience going like this.
Apparently, this is a match a couple of months in the making. I don't know what the actual split was with Doom. I'm not familiar with how they went. I'm not very familiar with them as a team, to be honest. I haven't seen that many matches with them. I know they were like they did this sort of thing when they were Ron Simmons and Butch Reed, but I know they were also like masked as well, so they'd be identical pretty much.
Yeah.
In there as Doom, and they would do the whole sort of the legal guy is really the legal guy, but he's not because he's got a mask on, that sort of thing. Old switcheroo.
Old switcheroo. Bella Magic.
Oh!
Definitely put that all on himself.
Oof! Threw himself into the cage very hard there.
Oh, you saw the cage move there.
Oh, I think we may have a blade happening.
This early?
It's early. He threw himself head first in there and he's ducking himself down quite a lot. Look at the blood that's still in there from the earlier match, though.
Yeah.
That's not been cleaned. Oh, no blade. I wasn't a massive fan of Butch Reed. Never really.
Oh. too many people going into the turnbuckles front first, do you?
Really?
Bret Hart would
Sort of-
famously do it.
Yeah, Bret Owens. That was a Bret Owens thing, wasn't it? Really.
Yeah. And apparently it was like really bad.
Always hurt himself before he ever like hurt his opponent. Yeah, try and make his opponents look as good as he possibly could do. Just run headlong into that turnbuckle. Horrible.
But it's the thing about that, when you have like a signature bump that someone takes, like Ric Flair's signature bump, it's like, well, why do you always end up in that position? Like it seems like why does no one else get thrown into the ropes that way?
Oh, he is bleeding apparently, according to commentary.
Oh yeah.
Got a bit of colour there.
I reckon he maybe did play there then.
It's, Simmons was always. I always thought he was good in these sort of matches. I don't know. What do you think about his run as Farouk?
He looked like a Spartan. He looked like a blue gladiator.
Yeah, that was around. Yeah, I mean, like Nation of Domination, all that sort of stuff. It's one of those. It's an underratedly important stable. That obviously was it. Brought up the rise of the Rock and everything like that. But if it hadn't been for Farouk, there would be no.
Do you know, there was rumours.
Stuff.
There's been various rumours over the years that they were going to bring the Nation back, or a new version of the Nation. I think they could still do it to this day. The only real problem is that Farouk wouldn't be much of a mouthpiece for the group.
Oh no!
But imagine if they had Farouk and Teddy Long came out, and they didn't play Teddy Long as the jokey, sort of holler at your player sort of character. They had him be really serious.
I don't think you could probably do the Nation in this day and age anymore. I don't think it's a.
Why not? Just because of like.
I don't. Just because of how culture is these days, cancel culture and all that sort of stuff, and it'd probably play off like.
But that's not what it always was, because you think Owen Hart was in the Nation, Savio and Crush were in the Nation.
Yeah, but I'm talking about when Farouk was like doing it. They did bring in the race card a few times and things like that, in terms of. Some of the stuff they had done, when the Nation was like the Nation of Domination and things like that. It was all that sort of thing. Obviously, you could do it again, but obviously, they'd have to like play it with a different angle than that.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying that sort of thing. Necessarily wouldn't necessarily be very welcomed or anything like that.
But I think if you brought it, so imagine if you'd got Ron Simmons there, who still looks like he could just lay out half of the roster. And he comes out almost like the Don, like the head of this, crime family sort of thing. And if you have like like Teddy Long, who fits in obviously here with him, to come out and be a mouthpiece whilst you establish some of the younger talents, I think that would be great. I'd be all up for a Nation of Domination revival as an idea.
Pretty much rages that what New Day originally going to be.
That's it. I did. Yes, that is correct.
And I think when Xavier Woods comes out after a match with Big E and Kofi around a match that they just lost or something, he comes out and just does this sort of like this speech to them, and they're going to start this whole new sort of group together. It was every sort of shades of the Nation and things like that. And then they didn't get seen for months, and then suddenly came back all as preachers.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a strange sort of time, but.
And it's amazing how much that didn't work to begin with.
Maybe they could do that with possibly do that with MVP's sort of thing with Lashley now.
Yeah.
The thing with Lashley and MVP, aren't they? And I think there's a few people who maybe want to see like people like Ricochet and Cedric Alexander getting involved with that and sort of play off their sort of lack of success at the moment.
Look at
that. And have MVP be there.
Yeah. Just to comment on the action in the ring, we just had a pile driver. What a good move. What a devastating finisher that can be.
That was really well done as well.
Yeah.
What do you think? Should they bring it back into WWE?
Yes. For the logic that you see it everywhere else, and the reason they got rid of it is because of the couple of things. One was Owen Hart doing the tombstone incorrectly on Steve Austin when he broke his neck. Yep. But that was a tombstone, not a regular pile driver. And two, what happened to Droz with D'Lo Brown, when that actually, I believe, was a botched powerbomb. And yet, for some reason, the pile driver got banned. So, I don't know. I'm trying to think of anyone that's been majorly injured from an actual
I
pile
think
driver.
also Triple H blacked out on a tombstone or something like that. Maybe once.
But again, that's a
Something like that.
tombstone.
I've read something. Might have been like from that point. I think, yeah, like you said, I think before that Undertaker and Kane are the only ones who are really allowed
when we
to do
spoke
it.
like last week about, or was it the week before, about AJ Styles and the Styles Clash, and a few people have got injured. I can't remember any reports of Jerry the King Lawler injuring someone with a pile driver ever. I think they should bring it back, and they should bring it back with one guy as a finisher. I mean, I think I remember something from probably up to 10 years ago that they let CM Punk do one on a pay-per-view or something. And it was like, oh my god, pile driver.
I think there's a story there that was in a... talk about that. It was the match against Cena that they had pre-WrestleMania. Something like that, and they did it in that match. I think I guess out and just do it. And so it's that thing of like ask for forgiveness rather than ask for permission.
They keep showing
like
a guy in the audience that kind of looks like Jimmy Snooker, but it can't have been. Did you see who I mean?
I didn't see him. No, I've just seen a couple of guys in Steiner with the shirts, but no, I think they're all chanting "Go Wrong Go" or something like that. Firing back, nicely. Oh, put the head down too early. Oh, nice neck breaker.
Ron Simmons favouring his neck there.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Jerry Lawler was suspended in a cage like that, and he did the thing where he made his nose bleed?
Yeah. And apparently he can make his nose bleed at will.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, deviated septum or something. Oh, what a shoulder block that was!
Shoulder block from the
I don't think I've watched enough Butcher Reed matches, and why is the foot on the rope allowed as a break in a cage match?
I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Just because, well, it's a regular wrestling match. It's a regular wrestling match. Why should a rope break not be allowed?
So the debate we're having about the rules of a cage match. But this is officially as a
Because if it's no disqualification, isn't a rope break the same as a kick out?
Mm.
But it's strange that it work for a pinfall attempt, but not a submission attempt.
Not sure.
Yeah.
Seems to just make up for the story they want to tell, I guess.
Yeah, true.
Simmons coming back now. Oh, a backdrop is just such an underused move nowadays. It's so good when it's done well.
Oh, big knee.
Backdrops are just undervalued a little bit, not done anywhere near enough. AJ Styles takes a really good backdrop.
He does.
Just a good backdrop. He just goes always elevates himself up for those.
I think AJ Styles may have taken the best bump I've ever seen, which was in an Ultimate X match, where he literally... I'm going to use El Gigante to demonstrate this for people watching a video, where he's like dangling, and as he falls, he almost lands and has to flip over at the last second.
Yes, I think I know which one you mean, yeah.
Oh, so what's that? Is a chain thrown in the ring?
I think Jay Long's it's throwing a chain in from the...
So there's a cage there.
If he wasn't elevated, he wouldn't be able to throw that in as well, would he?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
He goes, ducks it, of course he does. Spine buster!
Good spine
Spine
buster.
on the pine, that's it.
It's over. It's weird seeing some of the finishers of this era. We had a clothesline earlier. We've just had a spine buster as the finisher. You know, I remember when the Sweet Chin Music was the only time you'd ever see a super kick, and that was to finish the match. Now, super kicks, they're just all over.
Super kick party!
Superkick Mania.
Yeah, we are. I was about to say, what podcast we do.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. That was better than I thought it was going to be.
That was hard hitting, that was.
You don't get these kind of matches that often nowadays. Not in WWE anyway.
The whole blood thing obviously wouldn't get allowed, but that's why I worry a little bit about when AEW do things like blood and guts, and they're just going to do blood for the hell of it. Might go overkill on it if and when that happens.
I think the worst bleeding I've ever seen in a match ever is Eddie Guerrero and JBL.
Yeah.
Although Dustin Rhodes at Double or Nothing last year was a close second.
The Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell with Brock Lesnar the first time they did that one, where he was like Undertaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a blade job in hell of a... Yeah, it was just gushing at one point. I thought, pretty bad. But, so I believe next is a World Tag Title match. I It's the Steiners against Luger and Sting.
Oh, amazing.
I believe this was voted Wrestling Observer's Match of the Year.
Wow. Look forward to it.
Something like that. So this we're getting into the good. We're into the good stuff. We're into the good stuff now. But the sort of like the sort of cartoony sort of stuff that the crowd is sort of taken with a pinch of salt or vociferous booze in the Oz segment. And now we're sort of into the stuff that they really are going to enjoy. Oh, we got a music video.
Oh, I love it.
Old school Sting as well.
Absolutely, Surfer Sting.
Yeah, rather than the Vigilante.
Yeah, Vigilante. He hasn't become Vigilante for a while yet.
No. Which was one of the
Very
best
little story. It's a very little
storylines
story how they
WCW ever did.
Great story about why he becomes the way he becomes. And
The dog-faced gremlin.
The fact that he's just been that character ever since as well says quite a lot about it.
Well, he's had a few variations. When he was in TNA, he took on a persona which was inspired by the Joker. So he became Joker Sting.
yeah, it wasn't the best that run.
No, but, you know, I think lots of people criticise it now, but at the time it's like, well, look at that, he's reinventing himself.
He was a very big fan of the Dark Knight, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Do that. Yeah, so Steiner Brothers. Where's the Steiner Brothers rate on your favourite tag team sort of list?
Wow, that's tough. That is very tough.
So they'd be top 5 for me.
They were fantastic. Look at this. We're going for the Frankensteiner. Look at that. Oh, and again. They certainly, back in the day, they were very much up there. In 1993, they were my favourite tag team. When they came into WWF, they were feuding with the Quebecers and stuff like this. The Steiner brothers were great, but obviously, by the time you get to Scotty turning to Big Papa Pump, that was kind of the end of the run of the Steiner brothers. So everything kind of, you know, there's been a lot more since they were a team than when they were a team. But yeah, they rank up there. But there's an awful lot of tag teams who I rank very high. It's something I'd have to think about. We should do an episode on tag teams, in fact.
Yeah, I know.
I was thinking that for the next one that I choose. Tag teams and factions.
Yeah.
So is Scott Steiner one of the two in this match?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Which one is it?
he's the one that looks like Scott Steiner.
No, okay, well, he doesn't look like Scott
long hair
Steiner.
one.
So on
Long
the
hair
picture there, if you see him on screen, he's got the belt on the shoulder. Oh, look at that. I have literally all of those figures. And that's from the same collection. Well, I don't know why El Gigante is the only one of these I've got, literally, that isn't packed away somewhere.
It's too big.
Yeah,
Look at that jacket.
I know.
Great job.
Luger's the US champion. Oh, they almost got blinded by the pyro.
Yeah, exactly. It's very rare that you see someone as a dual champion now as well. Obviously, you don't really see someone as the United States and tag team champion or anything like that.
It happens occasionally, but the thing that's crazy nowadays is there are so many belts. And I get it, WWE, every time they design a new championship or bring in a new belt design, they can sell it. And it's just printing money these days, but there are so many championships. You just think, there are 4 different tag team titles in WWE. No, sorry, 5, including the women's.
Yeah.
5 different tag teams. So that's 10 people straight away are a tag team champion. So Scott Steiner is on the left there.
Longer hair.
Your longer hair, hasn't dyed it. Yeah, exactly. He's got the mullet. And that's the dog-faced gremlin, his brother Rick, who always wore the ear defenders.
The amateur wrestler.
Well, obviously being younger here, he's a lot more mobile and fluid and things like that than he probably was. It's a big proper pump heyday at least, and he invented the Frankensteiner.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like so many moves, and there's so many suplexes variations that they both do.
And he might have Scott Steiner. I think I've seen a footage of him doing like a 450 splash or something before anyone else.
Yeah, apparently he invented that as well, or something. I think, or did that the first time he did that in America or something.
Yeah.
It's all like the flip and then lands on his feet and falls forward to the
Yes,
splash.
that's it. I've seen the same clip.
But there was something up there going. You all know that Scott Steiner did a 450 splash. It's like what?
Yeah, see, I've only ever known him as the big muscular beefcake that he is.
He's not too different here, and it's amazing because, like, for 1997, 1998, he went to like the largest arms in the world. Yet his look there, it would make Edge, Seth Rollins, so many of them nowadays look small, and yet he was so much more agile when he just had that ever so slightly more slighter frame that he does have here.
Yeah, definitely. I can only ever remember him doing big, like, hits and lifts. I can never remember him doing any, like, flying spots or anything like that.
Yeah.
I remember when he brought the Frankensteiner back when he was in TNA. He did it from like the top rope on like Rhino or something like that. And everyone just lost their mind because it was the first time we'd done a Frankensteiner in like
10 years.
I don't know, like 10 years or something.
And I think when he first did it, when he first brought it back, he used the cage as an assist. I think it was a cage match, and he literally just grabbed the cage, hooked his legs.
I recently watched a match on Independent Wrestling TV, which was from last year's Mania weekend. It was Scott Steiner versus Hornswoggle.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Who was?
Believe it or not, Steiner.
Yeah, I can see that.
It was kind of a squash, but yeah. Sort of trying to tell a story of how tough Swoggle actually was, and something like that. And
Joe, it's amazing watching this show today. I just feel such nostalgia for it.
Yeah.
Because it is like a trip down memory lane.
There's a point I think Luger gets a lot of stick because he wasn't like a proper wrestler fan, or wasn't a proper wrestler, didn't have the passion that a lot of the guys did. He sort of did it because he knew he would look good, and I think he even has admitted in interviews and things like that. He didn't have like the same sort of upbringing in the business as a lot of the other guys did, so they didn't really feel very close to anybody or anything like that because he didn't do like the shows in like the cesspit arenas and all that sort of stuff. He was pretty much just signed and shot straight to the top.
Yeah.
Pretty much straight away, and that's why I had a lot of contempt towards Helton, like
that power
the boys itself. I mean, he's not far off joining the WWF, but not the WWF, the WBF.
Yeah. He's
not far off joining. And the next WrestleMania, in fact, I believe, he's left. Actually, no, it's actually the next year, next SuperBrawl. It's his last WCW show, and he goes off to WWF.
So the situation was, when he left WCW, he wasn't allowed to go to a wrestling promotion. And so
that's right, yeah.
And so Vince McMahon had started the World Bodybuilding Federation, and so Lex Luger would appear like as the announcer or the analyst or something on that for as long as they could until he was then able to come in instead. Now they did call him the narcissist Lex Luger, but I can't remember. Was that the clothesline?
Clothesline, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you there.
No. These things happen.
But WBF sort of folded, and they already had Luger locked into a contract and things like that, so he sort of begrudgingly had to come back to wrestling as well. So I think when he finished WCW, he sort of in his own mind and finished wrestling as well.
I think there was a plan, but I think they just had to wait it out, and so they were like, well, we're going to keep you on TV with WBF, but it just didn't go anywhere.
Oh, what's the stinger? Oof! Oh!
You guys are definitely ahead of me.
Sorry, do you want us to
No. I will skip.
So it's like he's just in the vaulting boat process, put Rick Steiner back in the ring.
Absolutely beautiful.
Always, so Sting and the Steiners are all right, and Lou actually. Sting's like good friends with all these guys. So
what's he going for here?
So
Aeroplane
Bulldog
Sting?
had no effect on the dog-faced gremlin.
Oh, go on.
The Bulldog had no effect on the dog. Look at this. On the shoulder, what's he going to do? Oh, he's doing Steiner's move against him. That's what Rick Steiner does to people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It says on the commentary, it says page out of Steiner's playbook. Stinger splash? Oh! There's a guy in the Indies at the moment called Matthew Brooks in Britain, and he is a legit opera singer.
Wow.
Comes out, sings his own entrance music, which is always parody stuff. That is one of the best moves ever, that Tiger album.
Yeah.
I love how Steiner just gets up, doesn't bother going to cover, he just like gets the crowd pumped for it.
Yeah.
Didn't quite get him on that.
I'm going to pause this to see what he does. Oh! I love Scott Steiner at this point. It's just stuff he does. It's amazing. It's a guy called Matthew Brooks who's an opera singer, does his own sort of singing thing, and he does a stinger splash, but he calls it the singer splash.
Singer splash.
Yeah, and as he does it, he does a little operato. He just jumps in the air and goes, "Ah!"
Wow.
Brilliant.
I love little things like that.
Okay. Guys, can I just check one of your time codes to make sure where I am?
I am on...
42.
Okay, I'm now 4
43,
seconds ahead of you, so I will try and pause and play.
Lovely suplex by Luger. This is what's lost in like tag wrestling these days. Just constant tags in and out.
Well, just wearing a guy down.
Yeah, and just but keeping them sort of, obviously this is like a face versus face match, so it's gonna be more even than.
But also, just
look at Steiner. It's a belly. Oh.
So much strength.
But like the thing with the Steiners here, you could look at them and think, well, they can take on Luger and Sting, who are legit like main event talents.
Yeah.
And you could think, well, why doesn't Scott Steiner become a singles wrestler? Then he could be world champion or something. Whereas nowadays, so many of the tag teams, they don't seem like they would. Oh, JR just got a Steiner boot.
Oh, Steiner on his face.
Yeah. But you wouldn't believe that a lot of tag team wrestlers, if they weren't a tag team, that they could be main eventers.
Yeah.
Whereas back in this era, when you'd have like the Steiner brothers, when you'd have the Legion of Doom, Demolition, the Powers of Pain, you think, well, these guys could be legit threats to anyone in the main event.
Yeah.
It's just that they're tag team specialists.
Another rumour I heard that Scott Steiner was a name that was sort of down to win a Royal Rumble at some point.
Wow.
I don't know how legit that is, but I came from like a podcast that I would believe, you know.
I never heard that, but
I can't remember where I heard that now, but that was a weird move.
So that's got to be about 94, surely, because by 95, 96 they weren't there anymore.
Yeah, it would have been like the one that Brett and Luger won. I think that's the possible.
I'd have been really surprised because they would have literally had to have really, in that era, had to have pushed Steiner to the absolute gills to make him out of the tag team mold. Look at that off the top right.
Watch out! Ah!
I still think I'm second in front.
I think you're ahead of us now.
Oh,
That was Rick Steiner's heart, big
look at
move.
that! Another straight into the turnbuckle.
Out of nowhere.
But yeah, going back to your point, David, like even with Otis winning the Money in the Bank, I've read a couple of things that his idea is to challenge for the tag team championships rather than going for a singles title.
No.
Yeah, I think I read that as well.
That is the worst
it's not just
idea.
It's a title shot, doesn't matter which title.
Yeah, that's what I've read.
That is awful.
Can you imagine? Yeah, Otis and Braun is not going to be a good match. Oof!
Oh, that was dodgy.
That was legit bastard. The Steiner sort of tripped in the ropes and sort of come off backwards.
Yeah.
I can see why this match is so well liked and lauded, you know.
It's very good.
Back and forth.
Yeah, it goes quick, it goes slow, it's got some big spots.
Yeah, it's got the right pace. It's sort of letting the things happen and the crowd get into it.
But also, all of them look like they are trying to win. It looks like they want to win, and they look evenly matched.
Yeah, definitely.
Look at that. That was just like pure strength getting him up. There was nothing pretty about how he lifted him there.
Yeah.
He basically deadlifted Scott Steiner.
I was always really interested to see what the material was that Sting and like Warrior and people like used as their face paint. It always sort of just sort of didn't run off; it sort of just peeled off, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like it is now with him.
Yeah, that's a really good
Funny,
point.
isn't it?
Never thought of it. Oh, Tombstone?
Oh.
Is he going to reverse it?
Gosh, seriously? Yes, he's going to reverse it. Oh!
Oh.
Yeah, you're about 3 seconds ahead of us, I think. David.
Okay, I'm going to pause it. See, I was behind, but when I tried to skip, it literally froze for about 30 seconds, and I had to guess how much to catch up.
Oh no! They went over the ref. The ref's falling out with them. Oh no! Oh, who's going to interfere?
Oh, it's all descending to chaos.
Who's going to interfere, do we think?
Hopefully no one.
Sting a splash, boom!
You right, Sam?
Oh
my God.
Set up. The
Here we
kick
go.
set.
So you said about he feuded with Luger. Oh.
Oh! Russian sickle.
Why doesn't he stay? He could stay. He could... His target... Oh no, I guess the ref's up.
His target was... Yeah,
It was Luger, and he ran off without getting
Sting
him.
Sting pushed him out of the way, Luger out of the way, and took the blow himself, and Steiner doesn't realise what's happened. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
A bit of an unfortunate cheap ending.
I can see why it was highly rated, though.
Yeah, a bit of a cheap ending, but everything up to that point was brilliant.
Yeah.
Superb match, that was very good. We enjoyed that. Steiner matches at this point were just always really good. There's another one, I don't know which year it is or which event, it might be later in this year or maybe the next, 92. The match where Steiner's against two Japanese wrestlers, one of which is in the main event, Tatsuya Fujinami. And that is just an amazing matchup. Steiner's always sort of had good matches with the Japanese talent anyway, because they were always in New Japan at this point.
Whoa, look at that. Sting's busted open.
Yeah, oof, from that clothesline.
Do you know what? To do that, just for the ending spot, just to, like, bust yourself open when it's only going to be seen for a few seconds.
It might not have been purposeful, it might be
Hard way?
accidental.
Oh no, okay, so look at that. He does have a purpose.
Oh, backstage rule.
Yeah?
Yes!
This is quite rare for like early 90s. Didn't really see this sort of thing.
Yeah?
Go on, Sting.
Oh, this is, and it's a proper arena as well. It's
Oh, they're
not
going
like
outside.
everyone's got. It's not like everyone's got their special pictures in the frames on the wall, or it's not set up like a studio. It's actual arena as well. It's not like
Chair as
feels
well.
real. Go for an unknown number.
Okay.
Oh, that's well tag title match.
So,
Very good match.
Very good. So the pink one.
Sam,
Oh, look,
your
two
audio
matches left.
sounds a bit quiet on my end. Dave, can you hear Sam well?
I didn't realise Sam was speaking. Sorry, no, I couldn't hear.
It's alright, don't worry about that. I wasn't
Oh, there we are.
saying
You're back.
Yeah, you're back now.
So we've got two title matches next, I believe.
Look, the Jimmy Snooker looking guy just walks behind Dusty. What's going on? I swear, like, I'm seeing this.
What was in the white jacket?
It wasn't a white jacket, it was like a dark
Oh, no, I'm
jacket.
just asking because the guy in the white jacket sort of went into shot there.
Alright. Now, they got this guy to announce in AEW recently, didn't they?
Oh, did they?
World Television Championship.
Okay.
Losing first. Beautiful Bobby.
I love that announcement.
Beautiful
Bobby!
I do an underrated guy. He is one of the most underrated.
Yeah.
He's like known as like one of the best tag team wrestlers who was in the Midnight Express course, and he was always like lauded as one of the best like, guys for that sort of era as well. But at this point, he's really popular. And he's got quite a following at this point.
Has he had any other names that I might recognise?
No.
No, it's just been Bobby Eaton, I believe. So.
Yeah, beautiful Bobby
Yeah,
Eaton.
and his opponent,
Wow.
television champion Arn Anderson.
This is going to be a hell of a match.
Arn Anderson.
I think this is another fallout of a team, because I think these guys were a team, or might be a team forthcoming, I'm
Yeah.
not sure, but I'm not sure. When would they have been tag champions? They're definitely tag champions together at some point.
Look at that, he's doing the Chris Benoit thing. Literally.
Yeah,
The
well, that's
farm,
pretty much
everything.
where Benoit took it from.
Yeah.
They maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe when they did the Four Horsemen together. When did he become?
See, and I've heard Anderson speak about the television title that to him it was his world championship. He was never world champion, but he would often be in the featured match, the main event match, defending the television championship.
The thing about him, I only recently heard him actually speak for the first time when I saw him on AEW this week. And his voice does not match up to the way he looks.
Well, he's got this much more, like, slow pace, slow down, kind of voice.
It's quite high-pitched as well.
Yeah, it was a bit deep. He's an older gentleman nowadays, but...
Yeah. He's always looked a bit older, as I
He has. Like, he's probably in his early 30s here.
Yeah. Well, of course, he always used to say things like, where he'd say, his promo I loved in like the NWA in the 80s, where he says something about the Four Horsemen and things, and he says, "Look, I'm not usually one to toot my own horn, but toot." And of course, he also said, though, he said he got something wrong once, and he said, "Listen, it says marquee on the wrestling." He got it slightly wrong.
Oh, I see what you mean. I was like, I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah, no,
wrestling
exactly.
on the marquee.
He got it the other way around, but...
Yeah.
Alright, so these two were tag champions after this, so it's the next year in WCW, they are part of the Dangerous Alliance.
Oh, of course they are.
I'd say my favourite time that I've ever seen someone get the words around the wrong way is Dolph Ziggler. When they first split SmackDown and Raw, he was going up against... he went for the WWE Championship first, and then he went on to go and face The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. And I'm pretty sure at one point, in one of those two feuds, he said, "I'm the guy that's going to kick your head off your face."
Do you know what? I don't know if this is quite getting the words muddled around the wrong way, but one of my all-time favourite promo botch comes from Sid Vicious in WCW in about the year 2000. There is Kevin Nash and Scott Hall in the ring, and Kevin Nash is under a prosthetic mask to look like Vince McMahon. And Sid's on the stage, he's like, "And you know, and I know, that you're only half the man that I am." And the whole audience like, boo. Hey! And then he turns around and goes, "And I have half the brain that you do." And then... But he doesn't, and he's going, "And week after week, you're trying to make me look like a jackass." And he doesn't realise what he's done. But in the ring, Scott Hall, it shows Scott Hall, and Scott Hall's like... And then you see Kevin Nash under this Vince McMahon prosthetic mask. His shoulders just start shaking. And it's just utterly brilliant.
So the interesting thing about that is I've heard Sid asked about it. He's been asked...
Oh, you got a slight freeze there. Hang on, I desperately want to hear... What did Sid say?
So Sid in an interview was asked about that. Completely asked about that, and he claims that he said word for word what he was told to say. He didn't like.
Well, then it proves that he is a jackass. Oh.
Jesus.
Oh, that was such a strange way of taking that.
Speaking of jackass, that is a case of "Hi, I'm beautiful Bobby, and welcome to Jackass."
Yeah.
I'm just amazed that no wrestler has on Raw or SmackDown or something like this just chosen to steal that line from the promo. Ooh, and again.
Oh.
Seen the ECW match with Bam Bam Taz, where it does a suplex on the ramp, and then they both go through it like a hole in the thing.
Oh, I don't know.
They go through a hole in the ring, go through the ramp on one of them as well, and things like that. It's like went through things.
I guess that was just about a double axe handle off the top.
Just about, yeah.
It was about perfect time though, because Anderson sort of realised just as he's hitting the move.
Yeah.
It's like timing is impeccable with Anderson. Look at that blood that's still on the mat.
Aye.
It's a combination of Wyndham, Pillman, Simmons,
Yeah.
possibly Sting at the end of the last one.
A lot of blood. Although not as much as you said earlier, David, the double or nothing match between Cody and Dustin Rhodes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
One of the few times I've seen blood and cringed.
Guys, I'm just going to leave you this with my. I'm just noticing a glitch on my camera. I'm just going to try and fix it, but I'll still be about.
Okay.
My first time watching Arn Anderson in a match.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to watch some of his older stuff at the Brainbusters when he was in the WWF with Tony Blanchard in like 89. 88, 89. Just that, the tag work those two do is. It's just incredible.
Just looking at him, it looks like everything is very sort of smooth and well calculated.
Yeah, there's a couple of like big moves that Anderson sort of only that did, and the people have sort of copied since then. I mean, the Anderson Spine Buster is like the big move. Is Spine Buster, the sort of where he takes him and spins to the side with the Spine Buster. That's sort of his thing. And anyone who's ever done a Spine Buster since then, it's always been known as the Anderson or the double-A Spine Buster.
Yeah,
it's him who did it and affected it, you know. And there's a great bit where because he's a left-hander as well, it's quite interesting with the left hand because he sort of he'll do the thing where he'll cock his arm to punch the guy. The guy will fall forward to duck. He's faked him out and just DDTs him.
Yeah.
And it's a great little spot. And I think like the Revival took that as well recently, in recent years.
Okay.
So I think Anderson's a massive inspiration for them. That sort of tag team work, you know.
Yeah. Always doing a little heel move there, using the ropes to his advantage.
Using the ropes, which doesn't do anything for that whole, but it's just a little way of getting the crowd.
I love an abdominal stretch where like Scott Hall would grab the ropes.
IRS thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I should do that as well. This thing. I really don't think that really does a huge amount, does it? But it's
looks good, doesn't it?
It's just a way of getting the crowd going. I don't know about you guys, but this sort of, even though we're on to like match 11, this hasn't like felt overly long.
There's been quite a few quick matches, isn't there?
There's been some quick matches. Obviously, there's been some matches that have been downright not very good, but.
Another noticing every bump into the chest.
Sorry.
We're getting loads of bumps now after it's been mentioned, where they go into the turnbuckle chest first.
We've been watching them Bret Hart matches.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. There's the turnbuckle spot which
look at that, he's getting up and down.
Each pad on the way down. That is so good. Oh, it's so good. Oh yes, Sam Aiden does the sort of thing called the Tennessee Jam, where it's like the top rope leg drop, and seriously, no one does the top rope leg drop better than Bobby Eaton.
Okay.
It's the shape that he gets with his body as he flies.
Yeah, so safe but so good.
Yeah.
Jim Cornette Jim Cornette praises Bobby Eaton to this day. He says he's one of his absolute favourite guys he's ever worked with. And
well, you think so much of Jim Cornette's career was Midnight Express.
Eaton was sort of like the mainstay of it, really. So.
Although I don't think he was an original member, was he?
Was he not?
No, okay, so it was Dennis Condrey, and I think there was someone before Eaton joined.
Yeah, because I know there was that feud between like Stan Lane and Bobby Eaton against Dennis Condrey and whoever the other guy was.
Yeah, so whoever the other guy was.
Sort of brought the other in, right, Express in, didn't they? I can't remember who the original was, but I don't get Dennis Condrey. Well, Condrey and Eaton definitely teamed up because Stan Lane took over from Condrey. I don't know who Eaton sort of took over from.
Okay, let's have a look.
Look that up. It's because obviously the leg drop thing is obviously what Anderson's been working on because it's obviously taking the leg out. Yes. So I guess it's probably quite good that they're all sort of, the guys are all sort of maybe communicating backstage with each other as to what they're going to do in their matches as well, because this is the first time that the whole night we've had like a limb work on leg.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where, well, it's like a kind of thing, you know the film The Wrestler?
I've never seen it, but I know the one.
I've seen it. Like, in the sort of initial couple of scenes, there's like bits where you can see that they highlight that doing a scene backstage at the show where they're all sort of talking, they're all working through their matches, and there's a point where one of them sort of goes, "Oh, well, we're working the arm. Are you working the arm as well?" Okay, we'll change that. We'll work the leg then or something like that. They'll sort of like check with each other what everyone's doing, so they don't end up doing the same sort of match.
Yeah.
Okay, so according to this, it was Randy Rose.
Okay.
But then it says, and originally Norvell Austin, who I don't know at all. But then when you look at it, it says former members. And are you ready for members who have been in the Midnight Express?
Oh god. Okay.
Randy Rose, Jack Victory, Norvell Austin, Ron Starr, the Honky Tonk Man, Wendy Richter,
What?
Comrade Busick, Bombastic Bart, Bodacious Bart, that was obviously the new Midnight Express,
Yeah.
Rip Morgan, Ricky Nelson, Brad Thomas, Rick Harris, Midnight Stallion, Mongolian Stomper, Norman Frederick Charles III, Big Bubba Rogers, Stan Lane, Dennis Condrey, Hercules Hernandez, Bobby Eaton, Tommy Weathers, it says manager, that's interesting, Jim Cornette manager, and Paulie Dangerously manager. Wow.
Big Bubba Rogers was the heavy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was like the
Big boss man.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Especially with Jack Victory at the beginning there, because I don't remember ECW.
Yeah.
But
But that maybe they just
Honky
mean
Tonk
that
Man.
someone came down as a heavy.
maybe that's intriguing.
Yeah.
Oh, what a right hand! The way that Anderson sells it as well, like he's just like completely dizzy, bouncing at the ropes. So good. Well, TV title as well. I thought they used to have like 10-minute time limits and things like that, but I think they may have extended them to like 15 for pay-per-views.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah, wrong.
Oh, Spinebuster.
That's the spine buster I was talking about. There we go. Oh, it's taking too long to cover him though.
He's
Too
got
long
it.
to cover.
Oh,
Oh!
wow.
Kicked out!
Too long to cover.
Unbelievable.
Okay,
Beat.
other than Double A, who do you put in contention for Spinebusters?
Yeah, I can't pick over Double A, but
Farouk has a good one.
yeah, Farouk sort of had that one with pretty much.
Well,
Right
literally,
down,
we saw it
so-
earlier. He used it to finish.
Booker T sort of had one which sort of like pick him up sort of over their shoulders, slam him down, and look like a spine buster or like an Alabama slam sort of combo.
Yeah.
There's a thing on Twitter recently about best spine busters. I remember there's a few of them. Here we
Batista
go.
did one quite prominently.
I can't remember.
Batista would
Oh,
always
no, who's
bounce
this?
to his feet. Oh.
Oh, it's Pillman and Wyndham.
Oh,
They're
look.
continuing their fight. Wyndham came out and tried to distract. It didn't work. Pillman's there. And I think we've got a new champion. Yes, we have. They cut away from the 3 count.
Wow.
Terrible moment to change camera.
I know.
Yeah, that was really silly. But hey, Bobby Eaton wins at that leg drop.
Wow.
The crowd was really happy. Can't hear him, but the crowd looked really, really happy about that. So Anderson obviously did his job in being like this dastardly heel.
Yeah.
Neck breaker. Watch this.
Beautiful
Here we go.
backbreaker. Look at this. Look at this
Bang.
beautiful leg drop. Boom. So safe as well. It's just, you know.
Very good sell as well, really.
I remember this is like that time I started watching WCW, so I remember Eaton as a TV champion because I remember defending it on TV against somebody called Steve Austin and losing it to that Steve Austin at their debut. Well, here we go. Main event, Tatsumi Fujinami. So I don't know if they're going to show anything, but there is a back story to this this main event, which I think they're explaining now. So basically, these guys had what New Japan billed as a title for title match, the IWGP Championship, Heavyweight Championship, against Ric Flair's WCW/NWA title. Now, confusingly, the WCW and NWA titles, despite the fact in WCW was seen as one title.
Yeah.
W titles were separate. They were actually two separate championships, but the American audience over sold it as one title. So Flair and Fujinami had this match in Japan, might be at the Egg Dome, I believe. And I've seen the match; it's pretty good. And Fujinami walks out with the title, goes out with the win. So officially, then he won the NWA championship.
Right.
So Flair came back with the WCW title, and there's a few confusing things that went into it. So they say that Fujinami basically won the NWA title, but Flair actually won because at one point Fujinami threw him over the top rope, which was a DQ.
In WCW rules.
Yeah, so during the WCW rules, apparently they thought the WCW title was null and void at that point, but he ends up winning the NWA title. So in America, it's sold that Flair won by DQ, and so they're having this match now for the WCW title to sort of end the controversy and have the rematch. I think one of the main problems is, though, that not many people in the States know who Tatsumi Fujinami is.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily get the biggest sort of reaction here. And I think it's unfortunately one of those things where it could be an American audience sees a Japanese wrestler and immediately goes, "Oh, Japanese, yeah, you're the enemy."
Right.
Yeah.
The sort of reaction they would get from people.
Okay.
But Fujinami's like a legitimately great wrestler. He's like a Hall of Famer. He's in some of the WWE recent games. He obviously signed the Legend contract.
Oh, is he
He's known as
actually?
the Dragon as well. I forgot about that.
I got the WWE 2K20 video game, like some bundle thing, and I haven't actually tried it yet. But
I think
it's
it's
the one that's
before
hilariously glitched out and broken.
Or did you get the download version of it?
Yeah, so they've probably fixed
Yeah,
it.
so that's totally glitched out. I think hopefully they fixed it a bit.
Woo!
What is it? I love how they're just sort of standing there and the directors are saying, "Okay, you have to go." His waiter, his chef, his waitress, his butler, whatever that is.
That is like the to me, that's the robe I think of when I think of Ric Flair.
Yeah. So as I say, Jim Herd obviously owning WCW at the time is not making it very happy for Flair at the moment. So Flair's not very happy in the company at the minute, and I think this is his last WCW pay-per-view for a while. I don't know if he wrestles for them again, but this is sort of like the last time we see Flair for a little while.
Okay.
In WCW at least.
So what is this? So he leaves as the real world's champion after this. Did you?
I
Okay.
believe
Did you
so.
see it again? There's a glitch on the video.
Yeah, I saw a glitch there.
I can't believe that
Yeah,
they
check.
don't have like high quality
Yeah, check
master
rip.
tapes.
Well, it does say like with all these ones, it's all sort of presented in the original sort of quality and things like that. Don't they?
But I should imagine
Right
on
to
like the
make it out.
VHS that they got released, it would have been. It wouldn't have had that flaw.
It's really weird seeing Ric Flair so many years ago.
Do you know what? If you see Ric Flair was involved in a plane crash. He literally survived the plane crash, and not everyone did. That was in it.
Broken back.
Yeah, broken back. But if you see him before it, he was much thicker.
Was he called first? He wanted to be. He was Rambling Ricky Rhodes. He wanted to be like Dusty Rhodes.
Wow, I don't remember that.
Yeah, he wanted to be like Dusty Rhodes, and sort of like told, "Oh no, find your own persona." So he decided to be like Buddy Rogers.
Yeah.
Be the Nature Boy. There's only a Nature Boy. There's Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, Nature Boy Ric Flair, Nature Boy Buddy Landell,
Yeah.
who was in WWF for a little while. Like with Ric Flair's old WWF music and the robes and everything like that. It's so confusing when I saw him for the first time. Just thinking, what is he doing? Why is he being Ric Flair?
Yeah.
Did AJ Styles about the Nature Boy when he did the sort of knockoff Ric Flair in
I
TNA?
don't
the
think he was
robe,
called the Nature Boy.
No, he had the robe, which he combined with his hoodie thing, didn't he? So the feathers were robe with the hood.
Yeah.
It still
Oh,
pop out. So, yeah, he was being like a Ric Flair Jr. sort of thing, but it was still AJ, you know. But that's gonna be interesting. So I again, I'm going to just to my sort of live wrestling experience again. I never saw I never saw WCW live. But my first show, as I've mentioned before in the podcast, was the WWF Royal Albert Hall show, '91, and not including the dark match. The second match on that show was Tito Santana versus Ric Flair.
Wow.
And he'd just arrived. You know, it was just after the sort of like the tease of the Real World Champion. He'd done Prime Time and everything like that. And I don't recall. He may have had like maybe one or two maybe Superstars matches before then, but this is almost sort of new for me. I'd seen him briefly on like when WCW were on TV initially, like a big like tag match or some kind. There's that classic Flair backdrop.
So I met Ric Flair in 2013.
Oh yeah, well you stumped that then.
Sorry?
Yeah, you stumped on my thing of saying I saw Ric Flair in his prime. But yeah, go on.
Okay, so I met Ric Flair, and it was when I was at the SummerSlam thing where I would also then meet the Ultimate Warrior and things. But when I met Ric Flair, he was just in the foyer, and I was with some of the other journalists who were covering everything that was going on, access and the events and stuff. I was like, oh my god, it's Ric Flair. They're like, yeah, he's really nice. Go over and you take a picture. So I was like, really? And I felt nervous as anything. And I went over and he wouldn't take a picture with me. So I later though, I was so gutted because after SummerSlam that we saw, I was like, oh, it's so late. We'd been out late and stuff, and we went back to the hotel. And some people's like, oh, we'll stay down for a drink. Then I find out the next day that they were up for about 3 or 4 hours in the night drinking with Ric Flair, and I'd gone to bed. But yeah, I met him. I spoke to him for a moment, but he wouldn't. He's like, "Oh, come back to me for a picture." He's like busy or something, and I just felt too shy. I was like, "I've been turned down. That's no. Flair, you've missed your chance. You could have had a photo with me." But
yeah, I'm like that. It's like the moments are gone. It's like, no, I can't try again.
Yeah. Although to be honest, even in their position, it must be more difficult to say no a second time. Nowadays, I possibly would. I would just go back and be like, we're doing this. One time I met John Barrowman. Nothing to do with wrestling. Yeah. And it was like a stage door thing. And they were like, oh, no more photos. And I was like, we're taking a photo. And I was just like taking the photo. And by that stage, you have to pose, don't you?
Yeah. Especially nowadays with social media. Like, if someone refused to take a picture, someone would just do it anyway. And they go, refuse to take a picture, that's why you can only see the side of his head. Yeah,
well, exactly. Like, it wasn't anything that, it was like, I'm making myself sound like the douchebag here, but I didn't force him, it wasn't anything bad, but it was more that they have the people around there say, oh, no more. And it was like, at this same event, I interviewed Daniel Bryan, which was cool as hell, but I was getting progressively less time with people. And there was the person off to the side being like, wrap it up, and I was just like... So, just one more question, and then when he'd say something, it leads on to something else, and you have to squeeze every opportunity you can get out of these things.
Yeah. For those listening, there is a good match going on. It's been a very, very ground-based technical one until that suplex.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very good, but it's been pretty engaging. It's all got groundwork and stuff like that, which I don't have a problem with. And if Fujinami's not exactly like maybe the most charismatic wrestler in the world, but it's
dirty little trick there from Ric Flair.
Yeah, he's getting the cheers though because it's US versus Japan, so
yeah, exactly.
They're essentially getting the
cheers.
See,
and here's the thing: the psychology that you'd have as a Japanese wrestler, one, would be different in the US, and two, the audience are on Flair's side simply for the fact that he's the home team. Now, something interesting about watching a Ric Flair match we may be about to see is every time Flair takes a bump, he doesn't take a flat back bump.
Because of that.
Even then, onto the suplex,
crash.
Slightly to the side, always to the side. He goes against every rule that you see the wrestlers get taught.
Look at
that, he's meant to go over the top there. But see, that's fine where you can reset something.
Yeah, does it again, and does it that time, yeah.
In an instance like that, it makes sense on the logic of his opponent's trying to knock him out the ring.
Oh, look who it is, it's Fonzie!
What? The referee. I thought you meant Henry Winkler.
No, not that guy, not that Fonzie.
Oh!
Hey!
RVD and Sabu, baby, we're gonna get it done.
I hated Bill Alfonso. He just struck me as the ultimate weirdo.
He was. Just that time, it's so bizarre. I always forgot he was a referee.
I can't believe that they never brought in Bill Alfonso to do anything with RVD, though.
Apart from like One Night Stand, that was literally it, wasn't it?
What, it just came out with a whistle?
He came out with RVD to do that little promo he did.
But yeah.
The first one. Oh, because he's a WCW official, and the referee in there is now recently retired referee Tiger Hattori.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I heard about his retirement, and it was quite a big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's, I saw so when I did the sort of Rev Pro New Japan relationship, they did a few like cross promotion shows in York Hall in London, and Tiger Hattori coming out for one of the matches, and he got a standing ovation himself because everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's him! We know who he is." And he's like, "No, he's a little legend himself." But that was also another of the controversies of the original match was that it was Tiger Hattori who counted the 3 for Fujinami.
Right.
The WCW official had been knocked out of the ring. So I think that was another reason for the controversy is saying, "Oh well, it wasn't a WCW official who did that, so that's null and void as far as we're concerned." That sort of thing. But I think as far as to placate the Japanese audience, I think it was a case of Fujinami is the NWA champion. So that sort of title change sort of stuck, but it was never recognised officially in the US. It's weird, all the politics for what essentially is an entertainment show.
Yeah.
So,
But you get so many politics in wrestling.
the figure 4. Classic figure 4 delivery. Alfonso on the outside saying the referee should be counting and the shoulders are down.
Now it's amazing. Has anyone taken up the figure of 4 as a finisher? Like I know, was it Ziggler?
Miz did it for a while, didn't he?
Miz did it. Yeah. It shouldn't, and I hate it when you see someone like the Miz do a figure of 4, and they'll be like, someone tries to put it on the Miz, and they're like, but that's Miz's move. I'm like, no, it's not.
And Miz never did it very well either.
No.
I can't see him getting confused. I'm going, I'm putting it in. I don't do it.
He turned it round. He's reversed the pressure.
Reverse the pressure, which never really resulted in anything. He's on the ropes, right?
Has anyone ever quit to a reversal of the figure of 4?
No.
Not that I'm aware of.
I love that Ric Flair was actually on the ropes there, and the American referee is the one that pushed him off. It looks quite a stiff match, doesn't it? They're proper
The chops
backing into each other.
Oh, look at this. Sharpshooter?
Oh,
What?
yeah, he's, the Scorpion Deathlock was his,
Oh no, yeah.
his moves.
WCW ref just a tiny bit too late there, trying to get his hand off the rope.
So, he's got the sharpshooter locked in well. He's not sat back, though, like Bret Hart. Sting wouldn't always sit back.
No, I would say this is more of a Deathlock.
But
I
Bret
didn't
Hart
like
would
that
properly
back.
make it look like he's crippling you with it.
To be fair, I think that Flair probably was like, no, you can't sit back too far on me. I do actually have a legit back injury
Yeah.
since the plane crash in 1975. Scientists is like, oh.
The kick out. That's another thing you never really see. Someone just go for pinfall after them kicking out. Never results in a 3 count, but it's just nice to see.
Yeah.
I like the psychology of it because it's like even if you sort of know that the opponent's going to kick out, you make them exert energy in kicking out.
Yeah.
The like matches that sometimes when you have like reversal pinfall, and different sequences and things like that. But then occasionally a match will end with like one of them just being in a skateboard and suddenly a match will like end and it's like sort of like
that knee.
knee drops, lovely stuff.
Great knee.
So the Flair match that I saw with Santana, it was like classic Flair, just cheating everywhere, and like a cheaty finish where he sort of held his trunks up and kind of rolled so far up that he was exposing Tito's ass. It was ridiculous.
Oh, very good. Oh, no, never mind.
Okay, so that's what I was saying earlier about that.
Oh, look at this. You never see this anymore as well.
Bridge
Oh.
up.
Oh, Fujinami's were just like knackered. He's trying to do it. And Flair just goes, no, this is wrong, we're switching around, changing up.
Good effort though, you got most of the way up.
Woo!
Flair's sort of like what you would expect from like you say, like the certain spots that he'll do, like the stuff that goes to the top rope and gets slammed off of it, and
Yeah.
the back backdrop out the corner, all that sort of stuff that he'll sort of take and do,
And
all that sort of stuff. Was it like Brett's book though? I think that he sort of like. Yeah, so Brett didn't really go on with Flair, did he? He didn't like his way of style of wrestling, which is always sort of a bit too phony and too like.
Well, there's the ultimate.
It becomes a blade job.
Okay, but you have the ultimate Ric Flair bump, which is turn around, take 3 steps, leg in the air, flat on his face.
That's such a blatant blade job by Flair. It was so badly disguised.
Kid in the front row's shocked at the blood though.
Yeah.
Flair loved blading.
Yeah, he did.
And it's because he's got the bleach blonde hair.
Yeah.
Remember Mania 8 against Savage, where again he blades blatantly. He gets bollocked by Vince after the match anyway, because they're not allowed to have blade jobs at that point.
But you even think of the promo after with the
hairs
blood.
everywhere,
Yeah.
and it all sort of ends up like Rufio from like Hook. It just goes everywhere in his hair.
Yeah.
Oh, chops to the back!
Christ. A friend of mine once told me this. I don't know if it's true or not. He said there were only 2 people that wouldn't take one of the Ric Flair chops.
Who's that? Oh, hang on. Oh, there's the corner bump.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, who are the 2?
Do you want to have a guess at all?
2 people that wouldn't take Ric Flair chops.
Yeah.
Andre the Giant?
No.
When would have Andre? Like, I'm trying to think. I'm thinking along the lines of someone like Ultimate Warrior or someone
I think
that.
they would have crossed paths at some point, but I'm not sure.
Both of the wrestlers have been mentioned in this podcast.
Oh, okay.
What, Big Josh? Amazing. Who did Doink think he was? Okay, so
Pissing
they've
Bear.
been mentioned.
The Pissing Bear.
The Pissing
No,
Bear.
no, it wasn't the Pissing Bear. No, no. There's 2 very big names in wrestling as well. Massive names.
One's got to be Kevin Nash.
No.
I was going to say, okay.
Scott Hall.
No. So massive names, even now.
Hogan.
Hogan
both-
definitely did.
Oh, it took him. I agree. Didn't want to take him.
I'm fairly certain I remember both being mentioned in the discussion we had of the greatest of all time as well.
I've no idea, Sam.
Don't know.
Well, the first one was only just mentioned. Bret Hart apparently wouldn't take any chops from Ric Flair.
Wow.
We absolutely did though. So he didn't take him.
Oh, fair
He
enough.
didn't like him. He mentioned in his book he hated the idea of a chop.
Maybe he took less than that's what my friend got
Okay,
it
and who was the other one out of interest?
What's the
then?
other one?
The Undertaker.
Interesting.
Okay.
I don't, like I said, I don't know if that's a true fact or not. Maybe someone can comment and let us know.
Yeah. Now, the thing with Undertaker is he is naturally more pale skin. And if you think back to one of the Saudi Arabia shows when Daniel Bryan first came back.
I don't think Flair's going to take the first time, yeah.
Okay, this is one of Flair's bumps.
Oh, is he fighting out? No.
Wow, one-handed.
One-handed, yeah.
But yeah, some people, when they take chops, they just bruise like anything.
True. Sheamus is another one for that as well as
Yeah,
Ooh,
so
nice.
again, paler skin. What is this? This is a very
It's
weird
a normal
abdominal stretch.
with a variation. Taker would have been alright with it because he was always covered, wasn't he, with his chest?
Yeah, but maybe he just didn't like it when he went home to Michelle.
I don't think he was ever wrestling Flair when he was with Michelle McCall.
I'm sure he was. Didn't Ric Flair and Undertaker?
I think they had WrestleMania 18, weren't they? I
Yeah.
don't think it was. I think it was still with Sarah. So,
I don't know if that's a true fact, but a friend of mine told me once and I found it interesting.
I know Brett said in his book he hated taking the chops from Flair, and he didn't never like the idea of chops anyway because it was always a case of the guy's actually legitimately trying to like hit you as hard as you could.
Yeah.
Even that match, I go back to the match I saw the first time when he was against Tio Santana. Even from where I was sitting, you could see Tio's chest just getting brighter and brighter and brighter. The match going on, it's like horrendous amount of chops he was taking in that one.
Well, Walter's got the best chops, hasn't he?
Oh yes, I've been in the room for Walter's chops. My God, they are something else.
There's a couple of pictures. If you Google Walter Chop, then
Is it a freeze frame?
You see his hand indented on the match.
Yeah. I know which one you mean. That is I know which one you is. Is it one where he's all like got the guy against all that? And he's sort of did that. That's a guy called Josh Bowden.
Okay, we just missed the other classic Ric Flair bump.
Face first.
Yep.
Yeah, so that guy is doing that too. He's in Bella's in there. A guy called Josh Bowden, who's not very well liked in certain circles, but and that was at the Red Pro show in the Cockpit Theatre, believe it or not.
Do you know what? Amazing you say that. I just had an email from the Cockpit Theatre. Because Extreme Improv are scheduled to have shows there this year. We were meant to have our first show there this month, but it's not looking hopeful. But hopefully...
In the actual theatre and not in the room above.
Sorry?
In the actual theatre this time, not in the room above.
Not in the room above. No, the actual theatre.
Yeah. Because I was there at the first podcast recording, I told you about the wrestling there, and you were like, what? There's wrestling here?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, scam didn't work. Oh, it was close. Brother, you got that shoulder up, was what just came up on the closed captions. I'm assuming that was Dusty saying that. I think Jim Ross would have said that.
Oh, look at this. Small package.
Package?
No.
Like Cradle? No. I think we're coming to the end here. I get the impression we're sort of going to the home stretch.
Oh, okay, so this referee, he's the one that was known as Red Shoes, isn't he?
No.
He's got red shoes.
Oh, maybe it's Red Shoes.
Yeah, it's Red Shoes.
No, I think that's a different guy. No, it's definitely Tiger Hattori.
Okay.
No,
but isn't it that Red Shoes just retired?
No, Tiger Hattori retired.
Oh, it's the referee!
Oh, look at that!
There you go. It's going to happen before. It's going to happen
Hand
again.
tights.
Alfonso go in. Yeah,
that is a fast count.
Oh!
That was such a fast count.
So, yeah, and that was a reversal of what happened at the Dome.
Oh, so much there.
Handful of tights, fast count.
Bit of a cheaty win. Yeah, you can see the tights were blatantly, and you can see the tights were being pulled, but you can't hit three anyway. Good match though. I enjoyed that.
It's weird that the Japanese referee got knocked over when he should have been counting. So he was in completely the wrong place.
Yeah.
And just off he goes, no real celebration.
Yeah, no, sort of. He's not getting on the
If
stage,
you have a
sort
smudge
of
finish
celebrates.
and someone just runs out, it's more about the guy left in the ring saying that's bullshit.
It's a little bit, yeah, it's very WCW, isn't it? Sometimes that would happen when someone lost, but they concentrate on who had lost. I think there's some pay-per-view that ends with someone gets the win in the ring and they can't make it reasonably away, and they just spend the rest of the pay-per-view with one shot on Hulk Hogan and company reacting to something.
Yeah.
Which is just like so typical. And then big pyro at the end of the stage.
Very nice.
Flair's not there to be in the pyro. That's SuperBrawl. Inaugural SuperBrawl.
Yeah.
Wow. It's been many a year since I've seen this event. Look at his chest.
Look at his chest.
Oh.
See, it's moves like that. When you say about when did you first find out that like wrestling wasn't all it was said to be, but it's like things like that are undeniable. You know.
Look at this person that's been turned left to Dusty.
The big guy.
Good Lord.
Oh, Dave, body shaming.
I was just saying, look at the person.
Well, based on the size of him, he's probably not around today to hear it, so it's all good.
So,
I think that's mass transit, but I might be wrong.
everyone's sort of leaving as well in the background. You don't see that at pay-per-views either, do you? You don't see shots of people leaving the arena
No.
as they're wrapping up the show. But there we are, that's SuperBrawl, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I loved it. I love watching this era of wrestling, and especially watching this era of WCW, because again, this is when I first saw, well, actually a year after this is when I first was watching wrestling and seeing everything that just followed this. So when the VHS of this came out, it was brand new to me. It was like, it was just out. Oh, now we're going to the instant replay.
Like I said earlier, it's very interesting to see things that, you know, nowadays would sometimes be seen as cliche, but at the time were just done on a regular basis, and they got the reactions. You know, the fact that there was 2 referees in that last match is a little bit different as well. The size of the cage is very different to what you'd see nowadays. It's quite you can't really compare this sort of era to the current WWE product just because they are so far apart.
Well, I hear you, but at one side we have Oz, and on the other side of things nowadays we have the Firefly Funhouse. So, this is
now Oz is clearly just a rip-off of something that was seen in a film. The Firefly Funhouse is a mental game that he plays with his opponent to absolutely destroy them from the inside out.
So hang on, it was just a mental game. When you're comparing it to the Wizard of Oz, where she wakes up and it was all a dream. So
film, but we're not talking about a film when it comes to Oz the wrestler, are we?
They had a
I'm just going to do an impression of the Biggie popcorn gif while you're doing this.
Yeah. That's one of my favourite gifs. It's just of a guy enjoying what he's seeing so much. He's just got, I've got to eat as well, and
there's actually some thought in the Firefly Funhouse, though. Oz is just literally, we've seen a popular film, let's try and make some money off of that and steal their idea.
Make some money off of it. That was made in 1939. This is 1991. They're not like capitalising on a current fad.
Right.
I've always said that their parent company, or PBS or whatever was the company was, that they literally owned the rights to the Wizard of Oz, so there was no sort of money being made from it. It was just a case of they could do that character, so that's why they did it. Okay. But I enjoyed that. I thought, as I was saying earlier, I think that was actually overall better than I had remembered it being. So I think I just remember that for the stuff that's in the middle, where it's all the strange stuff like the bears and the stretcher match, which had the stipulations didn't happen, and the Oz stuff, as I say. That's something I've been when I first got the network and WCW PPV being put on. This show is one of the first ones I went to because I just remembered this show with all the descriptions of the entrances of Big Josh and Oz. I had to see them. I was like, what is this lunacy I've heard about?
Yeah, but when you look at
Sting and really good quality matches, and I think the opening tag's really good. Wyndham and Pillman's really good. The main event's really good.
Sting and Steiner's and Luger.
Really good.
Yeah, Anderson and Eaton. Yeah. There was good matches on there.
Really good stuff. And the stuff with Stan Hansen backstage was fun as well. So it's fun stuff.
Take the chewing tobacco out. That's all I'm going to say.
Hansen.
Yeah.
That's what makes Stan Hansen Stan Hansen. The funniest thing is, though, if you know anything about Stan Hansen, you know that he's actually pretty much legally blind unless he's wearing glasses.
Wow.
And so anytime he's like doing any of that, he's actually looking a bit eye, like being told that she's there pretty much. You probably couldn't actually see who it was. It's like, remember that's the reason he famously injured Vader in that famous match in Japan, where he knocked Vader's eye out. Yeah. And there's a lot from an earlier thing where he's like spinning this cowbell, his rope around the buckle thing, like swings and hits Vader in the face. And that's what breaks his eye socket and things like that. Does the sort of famous eye dangling.
Do you remember when Vader was inducted into the Hall of Fame and then he puts on the googly eye thing?
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. Why would you do that for, like, obviously that was Vader knew he was of poorer health in his later years, and why would you use the Hall of Fame not to have this like respectful thing of your own career, but just to do like silliness? Like one of the ones that
it's almost like why was he inducting Stan Hansen rather than being inducted to himself and things like that? He should have had his induction in obviously sooner than they did.
Yeah, very true. What was I going to say? Yeah, it's just like when Jeff Jarrett was just singing his song instead of actually talking about the fact that he started a promotion and he launched the career of AJ Styles and 5-time or 6-time WCW champion or whatever he was. I see you're doing the Carlito thing now as well, Dave.
He no-sold that one.
So, there we go. Any final thoughts on SuperBrawl 1?
Very interesting. The fact that that pay-per-view is older than me as well is quite a fun little fact.
That is a fun fact. I will enjoy that.
Not older than me, though.
In my low moments.
I'd have been 12 when that came out. So.
Wow.
Yeah, or 12 or 13. I can't remember. I can't bother with maths. It's just fun to sort of look back at that sort of stuff again and see the sort of craziness of it. you know, to sit in. It's just little things like when you know that people like Flair and Sid are like on their way out and things like that. And Sid's just doing the least amount effort to get when he leaves. But Flair's putting on a match like that. It's like you see the different attitudes of people. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I hope people watching and listening enjoyed doing that with us if they did.
Yeah, absolutely, and we will do another watch along. I think we can. I think we should bring something to the. Well, I think we should do an Attitude Era watch along. I think that would be quite fun.
I think one of you guys can choose the next one, definitely.
Yeah.
It's turn to choose next. So
Is it my turn to choose next?
Oh yeah, what's your subject going to be for next week?
Oh my god, I didn't know I had to come up with a decision on the spot, guys.
Oh no, you don't have to. Sorry, you can do it.
I think we're going to talk about the merits of the Firefly Funhouse. That's almost my gimmick to get rid of to shit on that every single episode.
Put popcorn on my shopping list.
Yeah. Okay. I think we should do a show. Okay, so we spoke about the greatest wrestlers of all time. I think we need to do a show on the worst gimmicks of all time.
Yes.
Okay,
Let's do something about the wrestle crap, the botchamanias, the people that should have perhaps succeeded more than they did, but the gobbledygookers and the Red Roosters of the world, and just some things that were just terrible. Let's dig into. We can choose some like 5 and lots of honourable mentions because there's an awful lot out there.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
You know, so. This will be the Fiend special. I'm joking, I really like the Fiend. But so that's what we'll do next time. We will do the worst gimmicks, worst wrestlers. Worst gimmicks and worst wrestlers will have some crossover. But let's look at the worst character rather than just, constantly rag on El Gigante's in-ring ability. So, wherever you are up there, El Gigante, nothing but respect. But
Always up there.
for now, Dave, where can we find you?
Find me on Twitter at DaveGreeno, acting page at _Anthony_Green, and Dave Anthony Green on Facebook.
Okay, Sam. Wow. Where have you gone?
It's the Blue Man Group.
Yeah.
Lightened a little bit there. Do you remember that time when I had no body and now I've got no head?
If anyone's just listening to this.
Yeah. But yeah, you can find me in all of these places. There's no point in putting my hand up, is there? So you can find me on Facebook, Sam George Performer, and you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Samuel O. George.
Oh, George. And of course, my name is David Pistansky. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at David Pistansky, spelled Pustansky. This is the Superkick Mania Pro Wrestling Podcast, which has its own Twitter account at Superkick Mania. And it's part of the Extreme Improv Podcast Network, of which there are loads of other podcasts, including the Extreme Improv Radio Rumble Show, which there are so many episodes which I've just completed the edit for. So I don't know how to launch them. I feel like I just should.
I can't remember anything from that last session we did, so I'm enjoying that.
Okay, but there's lots of those comedy shows, and if you like those comedy shows, you should check out the Extreme Improv Extreme Show. You should check out the Mega Movie Podcast and the Games Monster Podcast and so many others that are on there. All of these can be found by going to the Extreme Improv Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Extreme Improv. We've got our YouTube channel where you can watch this as well, and so much more at www.youtube.com/Extreme Improv. And we're on Twitch, we're on Mixer, we're on Twitter. Just search any of these things. Just put in the phrase Extreme Improv. www.extremeimprov.co.uk. So until next time, are we going to do the super kick, guys? Until next time. I need to get the button ready because I can never end the stream. Till next time, here we go. And then I'm still there. I should